Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Radio Networks on Saturday, May 17th, 2014. This is episode 1083. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by LegalZoom. Visit LegalZoom.com to save on your legal needs and gain access to a network of legal plan attorneys for guidance. LegalZoom's not a law firm, but provides self-help services at your specific direction. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TechGuy to receive $10 off at checkout. And by RingCentral. The cloud-based phone system we use just got better with the launch of Meetings, the full-service video conference feature. Zero startup costs, and RingCentral starts at under $25 a month per user. Try it now with a 30-day risk-free trial, and when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free, up to 20 phones. Call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use our promo code TWIT. And by Personal Capital. With Personal Capital, you'll finally have your whole financial life in a single place and get a clear view of everything you own. Best of all, it's free. To sign up, go to personalcapital.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. It's time to talk about technology. That could be computers, that could be the internet, smartphones, home theater, all that jazz. Our home theater guru, Scott Wilkinson, coming up at 1:30. Filling in for the phone ranger, Heather Hammond today. Kim Schaefer, good to see you. Kim, welcome to the show.
Good to see you as well.
8888 Ask Leo, that's the number you'll be calling to say hello to Kim. And then we kind of have a motley crew here in the studio. Well, via satellite, via Exceed satellite, from all the way from Dayton, Ohio. It's the Hams at Hamvention, the annual Ham Convention in Dayton, Ohio, every year. And my four favorite hams are here on amateur radio, guys. Bob Heil, K9EID. Hi, Bob. Good to see you. We've got Gordon West,
Hello,
WB6NOA. We've got George Thomas, W5JDX. And Valerie Hotzfeld, who is NV9L. Hello, Dayton, Ohio.
Hello, Leo. Hello, everybody.
There's a lot of people there. How many people are at Hamvention this year, Bob?
We're hearing numbers of around 22 to 23,000.
That's kind of amazing, because I think a lot of people think of amateur radio as kind of old-fashioned in this day of internet, and I think the hobby's actually growing, isn't it?
It has. This past fall, they just announced, the FCC just announced, it's the largest amount of amateur radio license ever licensed, and we're happy about that. What is the number? It's 178,000?
About 178,000 and continuing to grow. And you know, Leo, ham radio operators, beside just having fun, play an important part in an emergency. In fact, just 2 days ago, 20 miles away from here, we had a tornado, and when big storms hit, Leo, hams come out. And remember,
we had about 3 inches of rain since last night. About 3 inches of rain since last night.
they're talking about all the rain that came down via ham radio.
Right. It's really a big part of the hobby, as well as now we have the makers are here. There's a lot of guys that are out looking for parts. The parking lot, there's around 1,500 spaces of people selling parts and old gear and stuff. So it's the place to come if you're interested in ham radio. And then, of course, all the new Flex radios are here that are run from computers. And, of course, we have a 100-foot booth here with all kinds of audio stuff. And we're very happy. The Dara Club that sponsors this convention all these many years give Ham Nation a booth and at no charge. And we've had a lot of people that come here, our chat room guys and gals, and so they've been handing out our own QSL card, so to speak. So we're very, very happy that amateur radio is a big part of the Hamvention, Leo, and so many people. so many people are telling you hello.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to ask everybody to tell us their call signs in just a second. But the reason we honor hams each year at this time with Hamvention on this show is because so much of the technology industry we talk about was created by hams. From Steve Wozniak, who got his license in 6th grade. I just talked to Jeff Pulver, the man who really promoted voice on the internet and created Vonage. He was a ham from the earliest times. And like you, Bob, he says his college education came really at an amateur radio, sitting at a radio. That's where he learned everything that he knew about programming and about computers and about radio itself. So it's a great hobby, and I'm glad to hear it's still flying high.
Oh, it is. So we're very blessed to be able to present amateur radio to a vast public that really didn't know about it. I know personally that this weekend I've had over 40, 45 people that have come to me telling me they got interested in or reinterested because of Leo Laporte and your network and, of course, the Ham Nation show. Thank you very much for all that you do for amateur radio, W6TWD.
That's my call sign. Bob and Gordo, George and Valerie are some of the hosts. They have more hosts on that show than any show on our entire network. But they're 4 of the many hosts who host Ham Nation every week on our network. Now, one of the traditions in the ham radio field is to gather contacts with other hams, and you often will ask them for a QSL card. We're just going to, this is a great opportunity with 20,000 hams in Dayton for all the hams listening at home on the radio to get as many contacts as they can right now. So get your logbook out and your pen ready. And guys, would you ask everybody in the audience to just shout their call sign out as loud as they can? And I'm going to write these down here.
All right, Leo, be sure and write all these call signs.
Okay.
750,000 plus hams. Here we go, not all at once. Call signs, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, dear. I got one. I got a W. I heard a W for sure.
Heard a W. Well, Leo, we are very, very happy that in the last month we have a new segment on Ham Nation, and it's all about DXing, which means long distance, and of course contesting. And we brought with us Valerie, who is in V9L, and she's really something. She goes out on D expeditions. And Valerie, we're very glad to have you. How long have you been doing contesting?
I've only been contesting 2.5 years, and I've been DXing for 3 years now.
And you went to a couple of D expeditions and broke a record, didn't you?
I went to PJ6 Alpha, which is Saba Island near St. Martin.
Wow.
And we broke a world record, so that was very exciting. Hopefully we're the only one to break the world record. We won't know until the final results are out, but it was very excited to go to a foreign place and have a huge pile-up, just like the one you heard, Leo.
That's what they call it, a pile-up. Well, we encourage anybody who's interested in learning more about ham. Dayton Hamvention is going on right now in Dayton, Ohio. If you're in the area, you can hurry on over and attend. It looks like the biggest Hamvention ever, and make sure you look for the Ham Nation booth, and Bob and Gordo and George and Valerie who'll be there.
Leo, I have to tell you that George always brings his soldering iron. So if you have to fix
He's got one around his neck.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to need that. And, you know, a lot of people might think this is all about old radios and things. It's not. There's a lot of Raspberry Pi projects here, a lot of Arduinos, a lot of high-tech stuff, and a lot of young people this year, too.
Oh, yeah, a lot of young people.
Well, guys, have a great time at Hamvention at Hara Arena. If anybody wants to head over to Dayton and visit and say hi to the guys. And I'm just so glad we can honor hams. We do this. We should do it more often. We do it once at Field Day and once during Hamvention. But you guys really do a lot, not just to keep us all safe in emergencies, but really to forward technology. And it's really an exciting area, a great hobby. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you, and we thank Exceed for bringing all these uplink trucks in to bring this signal to you from Dayton.
Apparently, you cannot get a signal. There's so many radios in the arena during Hamvention that there's just no internet unless you're lucky enough to know some people at Exceed. Yeah, they do a great job every year, and That's good that they did that.
Okay.
Hey, thank you, Bob and
Thank you,
Gordo.
Leo.
George, Valerie, take care and have a
7-3.
wonderful Hamvention. As they say in the ham biz, 7-3. That means best regards to our friends.
7-3.
Take care. I love it. Every year we do that, and it's so good to talk to them. We have lots to talk about today on the show. Remember the phone number, 8888 Ask Leo. I'm going to be talking about the FCC's open internet rules. We finally got a look at them on Thursday, and they're every bit as bad as everybody was worried about. We'll talk about what you can do to keep the internet a free and open place, because that is very important. Also, some surprising news. DirecTV, it looks like, is going to be acquired by AT&T. Another reason why it's so important that the FCC makes sure that we keep a free and open internet, as we are, compressing all of these many choices, many companies into a single one or two. They get more and more powerful. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. We go to the phones. Take your calls on the Tech Guy right after this.
Is this the chat room?
That's the chat room. They're a bunch of fabulous people chatting away. Usually around 1,000 people in there. Only 675 this morning. Truckee Nathan is fine. I just talked to him. He had a bad shrimp, literally. And he's just fine. He's back and sitting in the studio right now. Oh, yeah, probably a lot of people are at Maker Faire. That's right. Maker Faire is going on today. Well, that's great. Congratulations, KD8YOA. That's nice. Well done. Kate, Eric got his license last weekend. I got my license and promptly did absolutely nothing with it, but since I talk on the radio pretty much all the time, it didn't seem like much of a vacation to go home and get back on the radio. I don't know. It's interesting. We're just hearing the beginning of the battle over all of this. It's just lots more to talk about, I'm sure, with this FCC thing.
See Twill yesterday?
I heard it was a great big battle between Nilay and somebody else. Zoser Zone or something.
Yeah.
What and who was on which side? Nilay always surprises me. He was against regulation or pro? What was he?
He's in pro regulation. It's a Title II thing. That,
he was in favor of Title II.
Right. And the
Good.
other guy says that won't work.
Well, I mean, and he may be right. The problem, certainly the telcos.
Nilay says, thanks, it was a great conversation. And then the other guy goes, well, I really didn't like it.
Where was this guy from?
I think he was in New York or Washington.
But I mean, what was his back? Was he a lawyer or what?
No.
He was a lobbyist? What was his?
Lawyer. He's been on Twill quite a bit. He's good. He's a very big.
Well, I think you can reasonably debate whether Title II is the right way to go, because.
Afterwards, but boy, there was that Hamvention. It was.
Oh man.
But it was interesting.
I saw a lot of chatter about it in chat, and I haven't heard it yet. I'll have to listen to it. Denise asked me to be on that show, and I'm glad I wasn't. I don't like confrontations and battles. You can make the case that Title II is not a good solution. You really can make that case, but. Oh my, so much. In fact, really, the internet owes its packet radio technology. And Vince Cerf said this to hams early on. Everybody has a hungry heart. Everybody. Unless you eat a bad shrimp. Then you will not be hungry for a long time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're talking about computers, the internet, home theater, smartphones, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo. I guess these days that's your wristwatch too. Casio has announced a wristwatch that has a GPS in it. I guess Citizens made one of those for a while. It automatically sets the time from the GPS satellites, which is very accurate, and your time zone. So I guess these days even it could be your wristwatch. We're looking for wristwatches from all the big manufacturers, including Apple. We're waiting to hear what Apple has to say. By the way, did that Apple Beats acquisition, did that happen? No. Still waiting for that, aren't we? Last week I said I don't believe it's even true. I think it's a false rumor. And this is a very good warning for anybody who follows tech news. A lot of times, it's such a competition these days among tech news sources, websites, podcasts, newspapers, magazines, to be first, to be fast, to get your eyeballs, to get your clicks. And a lot of times they play fast and loose with the truth. What they really love is these Apple rumors. They generate a lot of traffic. I know for a fact. This is a great way. You want to get clicks? Just report an Apple rumor. And sometimes I think they underreport the fact that it's just made up, that it's just a rumor, that Apple does not say. Very rarely will Apple let you know ahead of time what they're up to. For instance, we all talk about an Apple Watch, a smartwatch. We know they're hiring people in that field, but they've said nothing about it. This Beats rumor, the fact that the rumor was that Apple would buy the Beats company, that's the headphone, Dr. Dre's headphone company, for $3.2 billion. And I went on record last week saying, I don't think that's true. I mean, we know it's just a rumor, but I don't think it's going to actually happen. And so far, I guess it hasn't. It could still happen. I just find this hard. I don't understand why Apple would want it. It would be the largest acquisition ever. Anyway, just a word of warning. I tend not to talk about rumors if I can avoid it. There's been a lot of rumors about, for instance, a new iPhone. We're pretty sure there's going to be a new iPhone. I don't think Apple's going to give up on iPhones. And if they're true to form, it'll be this year. But that's all we know. We don't even know what they're going to call it, let alone what size it is. I just saw a big story this week. All the papers carried it on the screen resolution of a phone that nobody's announced. Everybody just needs to calm down. If I talk about a rumor, I'll let you know it's a rumor. And I say it all the time. Apple doesn't announce this stuff ahead of time. So anything you hear that Apple's going to do, we don't know. Kim Schaefer, who should we talk to first? You've lined up, I see, a wonderful panel of callers here.
Robert in Southern California. I believe he's having trouble with iTunes on his iPad.
Oh dear.
And Apple's not really helping.
Yeah. Oh. Let's see what I could do. Robert on the line. Thank you, Kim. Robert Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. It's a pleasure to speak to you and be number one on the radio this morning.
First caller of the day.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what I'm calling about. My wife has an iPad. I don't know anything about it, but her iTunes was going very slow. She got online, called the tech department, and they came and said, well, let's get into she has a Surface, and they got on and did stuff and said she has Zeus, and the world is falling apart, and our whole network is infected, and we should pay them some money.
Who did she call?
I don't know.
Okay. So
they did not call her, but she did call her.
I understand. So to start with, you said iTunes was running slow on her Surface or her iPad?
Her iPad, but her main, I guess, I don't know anything about iTunes.
She uses a Surface tablet.
Yes.
And so she called for help on her Surface tablet?
She called for help about the iPad, and they said, well, let's look at the backup computer, which is the Surface. And then they got into that. What is
slow about the iPad? In what way is it slow?
She was having trouble getting her tunes to sync with her phone. And now the iPad won't start at all. We've tried to restore it from the Surface.
Well, Zeus wouldn't, of course, affect the iPad in any way.
Okay, great.
Zeus is a Trojan horse that's been kind of, the reason they brought Zeus up is because it's been kind of popular in the last few days. They don't know what she's got. It's designed to steal confidential information. You would get it generally through one of two ways, either an email with a link, and of course that's why we always say be very careful about opening attachments in email and don't click on links in email. The other way they get it is what they call drive-by downloads. So you might get an email that says it's from the IRS or Microsoft or something, and then it says there's a problem with your financial information if it's the bank, and then they get you to click a link. And as soon as you go to the link, if your computer is not up to date, now it's a Surface, so it's guaranteed up to date. In fact, it's highly unlikely that a Surface has anything. It's the latest version of Windows. It's set up, unless she's turned it off, to automatically update. Has she put Windows 8.1 update on it?
Not that I know of, and I looked on, and we don't even have Essentials running, which I have on all my computers.
Yeah, you don't actually run Essentials on Windows 8. It comes with its own, it's called Defender now, and it's built in. That's why it seems unlikely that she has something.
Oh, good. Defender was running.
Yeah, Defender is, they don't do Security Essentials for 8.
Okay.
So she's protected, and I hope she's doing her updates. Go in the store and see if there is an update, a Windows 8.1 update, and if there isn't, do it, and then there'll be an automatic follow-on from that. In fact, Microsoft has said it's only going to support Windows 8.1 without that follow-on update for another month, so it'd probably be a good idea to just get it all the way up to date.
Okay.
It seems unlikely, though, that she's got a Trojan on there. I mean, there's no... You know, if a user willfully, says, no, I'm going to install this, antivirus isn't going to stop her. But it seems unlikely, and it wouldn't impact the iPad. So the thing I would probably do with the iPad at this point is do a full restore, start from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
Has you said she had some backups.
Yeah, it's backed up supposedly to her Surface.
Yeah, so every time she plugs it into the Surface, iTunes runs, and in normal events, you can turn it off also, but in the normal case of events, it will back up everything that's on the iPad. That's good. So what she now wants to do is a complete restore, completely wipe the iPad and start over. And she can do that in iTunes on the Surface.
Okay.
So
we did hook it up to Surface yesterday and tried to do the restore at this time, and it basically, the iPad said I'm in the middle of restore for 8 hours, and we gave up.
Oh.
That's probably not good.
Well, you can do it on the iPad itself. You can basically start over at the very bottom of the general settings. There's a reset. You could say erase all contents and settings. Okay. That'll bring it back to factory status. After you do that, immediately go online with your iTunes account and update it. Make sure it's got all the updates on it. And it should then seem fairly back to normal, speed-wise.
Now, iTunes doesn't back up her documents and stuff.
Yeah, it backs up everything on the thing.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm a Windows person.
Yeah, then do a restore. iTunes on Windows is not such a happy thing. In fact, Apple really doesn't even require iTunes anymore. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, he might have to do a DFU. Yeah, iTunes updated for a weird reason. Very weird, hidden folder thing. I haven't quite figured that out yet. Okay, we're going to get Scott Wilkinson on the horn here. Talk about home theater. I have to say, and it sounds like boasting, but I am living fairly large now with my Mac Pro at home, and not one, not two, but 3 monitors, one of which is a 4K monitor.
Ooh, nice.
So I have a 31-inch 4K in the middle and 2 27-inch cinema displays on either side. I'm just looking for a game where they will use all 3 of those because it would be totally immersive.
That's totally, yeah. I mean, I was going to say, what do you do with that? Play games?
No. No, I surf the net and get my email.
Yeah, and you need a 4K plus 2.
Oh, it's, yeah. But if ever, no, I do photo editing and...
Oh, yeah.
I can do video editing and stuff.
Yeah, photo editing in particular on a 4K display is really nice.
It's pretty nice. 4K is good because you have a lot of real estate. Yeah. And then Apple now supports it in the as yet unreleased version of Mavericks 10.9.3. So it's nice.
Hey, I got a question for you, Leo.
Yes.
I have a relatively old iPhone 4S.
Still among the most popular iPhones. They're still selling like hotcakes.
Yeah. And I haven't yet upgraded to iOS 7 because I kept hearing all these horrible things about battery life and whatever. Is it worth doing now?
Yeah, 7.1 fixes the battery life issues.
Okay.
The 4S.
The problem I'm having is that I just upgraded on my Mac to iTunes 11.1.5.
Yeah, everything wants 7.
And now it doesn't sync anymore.
Yeah.
So if I upgrade the phone to 7, it'll sync.
Yeah.
You think?
Apple does this, they kind of force you to upgrade.
Yeah.
Might be a good time to
get what I was thinking, but you can't go backwards.
You can't go backwards.
Turns out to be a problem. So I was thinking about going backwards on iTunes, but that turns out not to be so easy either.
I'm just looking at performance issues. Yeah, I think it looks like 4S is fine. Hey, how are you? My daughter is now my intern.
Great.
Yeah. Clam chowder, gumbo, vegetable bar. Oh, I'd like the medium-sized pork cactus chili. Okay. Thank you. And then you can get something for yourself too, And always ask Kim, or usually it's Heather, but it's Kim right now, if she would like anything at the store too. Thanks.
So Knox Harrington and Sybil both say I should go for iOS 7.
I think it's fast enough. I wouldn't go 4, but 4S I think is fast enough. And then just wait because you're going to get the new iPhone.
Oh, at some point, I suppose.
Well, this would be a good time to get to. You held out long enough. The next one. Next one will be a big upgrade. No? I don't know. No one knows.
Hey, it's an Apple rumor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, QNX Monkey says the phone is much snappier too. The 4S.
Ah, good. That's how it ought to be.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm. So what do you want to talk about today? I saw Godzilla.
Oh, did you? I didn't see it yet. What'd you think?
Well, what's interesting is it's a 3D movie, and there's not much 3D in it.
Oh, I've seen that before, too.
Yeah, that's the new thing, I think.
We could talk about all this net neutrality stuff. Or
No. Save that for...
another time.
Another time. This doesn't have anything to do with home theater, really. Unless you think it does. Oh, I guess it does for like Netflix and stuff.
Comcast just talked about doing more capping. But I got some reader questions, too.
Okay. Scott Wilkinson here, home theater expert, and he has not seen Godzilla, and I'm going to save you some time.
Is that 2 hours you'll never get back?
It's not that bad. It's not. Michael, our 11-year-old, loves Godzilla, loves him with a passion. He actually brought 3 Godzilla monsters action figures into the theater.
With him.
Yeah, so they could see the show, too.
Of course.
And for him, I guess it was pretty good. It's not a great movie, but you know what to expect. Pacific Rim was a better, kind of similar idea, but better movie.
Yeah. I just saw something last night. I forget which show it was on, saying, could somebody please stop destroying the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yeah, they love to mess up our bridge. So the only reason I bring it up is because it was in 3D, and I'm not a 3D fan, but that's
right.
That's the way, well, okay, so it's a long story, but we get D-box seats because you can reserve them. So this is a good D-box movie. So, yeah, so D-box is seats, motion-controlled seats that are tied into what you're seeing on the screen. You can turn it off, but you can at least reserve a seat, right? So you have to wait in line or anything. You walk right in, you sit right down. Right. And I actually... It's good.
Kid loved it.
Kids loved it. I turned it all the way up. It actually makes the movie much more interesting because you're going,
it makes me seasick, man. I cannot tolerate that.
Then it's also in 3D. You really want to get nauseous. It's in 3D as well.
Yeah, right.
But the point I'm making is, but that's why I had to go to a 3D movie because the D-box is in the 3D theater. You got to see it.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
But the point I'm making is, this case, there wasn't a lot of 3D. It was very subtly used to kind of enhance the... It felt more real, but there were no 3D effects. There was no case I can remember where you felt like, oh, that's really in the foreground and that's really in the background. It was just slight. And a few times just to see, is this really in 3D? I took off my glasses, and yeah, there was a little bit of enough so that you had to wear glasses. You know,
Right,
that
or else it
3D
looked kind of double vision,
ghosting, yeah. But
Yeah,
not a lot, and it was interesting. I think I wonder if this is a trend that movie companies realize people aren't crazy about the extreme 3D, but maybe just a little 3D will get them into the theater.
Well, that's certainly been my argument all the way along. I have said all along that I don't think it's a good idea to have stuff coming out of the screen at you, like swords or spears or whatever. It's too gimmicky, and it takes you out of the story. It makes you think, oh, I'm watching a 3D movie. If things are behind the screen plane, that makes a lot more convincing, a lot more realistic, a lot more engaging and immersive. So I agree with you that I think it was smart of them to do that.
It didn't get in the way. It did make it feel a little bit more vivid. So I could actually I could get down with it. The other thing I noticed that I'd never noticed before, and is the tint of the screen was different without the glasses than with the glasses. Is that normal?
Yes.
It is normal.
The glasses do.
They have a slight tint
change
themselves.
The color.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I assume you were at a Real D theater.
I was at a
Dolby
Real
3D?
D theater. That's right.
Yeah. That does change. Any 3D system does change the color a little bit, and 3D movies are what are called graded, or the color corrected for that. If you're going to watch it in 3D, they make sure that the color is altered such that by the time it reaches your eye, it's what they want you to see in terms of color.
Yeah, I did. That's another reason you had to wear the glasses, because it was a weird color without them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I guess my point is you could go see this in 2D and it wouldn't be any worse. That's faint praise indeed, isn't it?
Faint praise indeed.
Yeah.
I read one early review that said, that the audio was, as you expect, super loud, used as a weapon, quote unquote.
Yeah, it was, but it didn't bother me. But what I did think was odd was that every time there was a big action battle scene about to happen, they cut away from it.
What?
Yeah.
Well, that seems weird.
I think when you go to a movie like that, the whole point of it is to see Godzilla battling the aliens, and that's where Pacific Rim did such a great job of these incredible battle scenes. I think they wanted to push the human story. So you'd see a Godzilla about to just destroy something, and they cut away to the human watching it on TV. It's like, no,
well, nothing's real until you watch it on TV.
Well, yeah, it's on CNN. It must be real. Maybe that's it. Maybe they realize the audience today doesn't believe it unless it's on CNN.
Unless it's on TV.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie, and wasn't horrible. It was a popcorn movie, but I thought it was kind of curious that they did so little extreme 3D. Not even Avatar had much more extreme 3D than this did.
It's true. It's true. Those little floating soul creature things, those came way out in front of the screen.
Yeah, nothing landed in your lap on Godzilla. Thank goodness.
Well, how could it? Your deed box chair was moving you all around.
Have you ever done? It's kind of fun. I know it's not. It's kind of hokey. It's like an amusement park ride, but for a movie like this, which is an amusement park ride, you might as well get the whole effect.
Well, unless you get motion sick like me, I remember going to trade shows, and Runco would set up a theater, and they had D-box chairs, and I went into one, and I immediately ran out because I was getting seasick. And so the next show, I came back to Runco, and they said, "Oh, we've got a special chair for you. It doesn't have
doesn't
a D-box
move."
in it.
But the D-boxes in our theater, you can set them from. There's 4 levels of extreme, and then there's nothing. So if
there's off. If you can turn it off, then I'm.
But it's fun. Like when you're in a helicopter flying over the train scene. The chair kind of leans forward and back, and you really feel like you're flying. It's fun. And then when the monster slams the ground, the chair goes. Maybe that's why I didn't notice how loud the music was. I was trying to hold on to my seat.
Now, if I do go see it, I'll certainly measure the sound levels, and the sound levels I measure might be different from what you heard. But generally speaking, movie sound levels are so high. I just have to wear earplugs.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Really.
Sounds like you don't really like going to movies. You get nauseous. You have to wear earplugs.
Oh, no. Not at all.
Sounds like it's torture. Well, that's why you're the home theater expert, because you want to watch these things at home on a beautiful screen. By the way, I have to tell you, we talked a while ago about the OLED screens, and aren't they coming? I bought one of the real expensive OLED screens, a Samsung, slightly curved. But the more I watch it, the more I love it. And I sit fairly close, about 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet away. So it's pretty immersive. And it's just rich, and the color is beautiful. And the more I use it, the more I feel like, yeah, this really does look good. It really does. It's subtle, but boy, it's great.
No, it is. It's fantastic. And the bad news is that this week we had 2 stories out of Japan that both Samsung and Sony are putting their OLED development plans on the back burner.
Did it again, didn't I? Bought the old obsolete technology at the peak price.
You know,
I'm really good at that.
You are really good at that. They just made this determination that it's going to be a better business model for them to build 4K LCD TVs, which are selling like hotcakes. NPD Display Search, a market research firm, reported that in 2013, the total worldwide market for OLED TVs was 4,400 units. 4,400 units
and I'm
sold worldwide in 2013, and yours was one of them.
I love it. I don't care, but I do like 4K. I got a 4K computer display this week, and it really is remarkable when I put video on it. Of course, in a computer display, you're only at arm's length. It is
2 feet away.
Beautiful. It really is beautiful.
4K that's exactly where you want to be with 4K. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. Scott Wilkinson, avsforum.com, and the Home Theater Geeks podcast at twit.tv. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk again next week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. More of your calls right after this. I have a collector's item.
Now, what I didn't get to say there was that I contacted LG to comment about the Samsung story in particular, and they said, we're gung-ho on OLED. They're going to have 5 models out by the end of the year.
There's no competition now, so that's a good thing.
Now there's no competition, exactly.
And LG are just as good as the Samsungs. I mean, it's exactly the same. Yeah,
absolutely. They use a slightly different technology. Samsung uses pure RGB pixels.
That's why I like my Samsung. There's no pentile. Yeah.
Exactly. So, LG uses a white subpixel as well as RG and B. Through color filters, actually. So, but they claim that gives you better longevity as well. That the blue OLED material still has a lower lifespan than the other 2 colors.
Well, when my screen starts going red, I guess I'll have to switch. But yeah,
LG is going to have a 77-incher out by the end of the year.
Wow. Well, you saw that Sony lost almost $500 million. I mean, that company is suffering.
Exactly. And that's one reason they've been suffering. They've been in the red for over a decade, I read. So, in the TV business, I mean.
Yeah.
So
no, in fact, Sony makes all of its money, believe it or not, insurance. They bought an insurance company, and that's actually that's what's supporting the consumer electronics.
They just they gave up their computer business too, right? The Vio is no longer.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Yeah, I haven't seen a Vio in a while. That sounds right. Yeah, they should have gotten rid of the movie business.
Well, though that's gonna support their 4K TV business.
Yeah,
those 2 things are going to be very synergistic is the word I'm looking for.
So it just shows, and actually this is a great question from Sweet Sciences. There's no more plasma. If LED goes away, you basically people are saying we want LCDs, and the black levels on those is just not so good.
Well, that's
better.
Generally true. But this week in New York, my colleague Mark Henninger went to a Panasonic press event, and they convinced him that they could make LCD TVs that had the almost as good black levels as plasma as their previous flagship, the ZT60. So they're working very hard. As they said, we're not a company of marketers, we're a company of engineers, and we really want to just do the best we possibly can. And they showed him some examples. You can read about it on avsforum.com on the homepage. The top story, I think, at the moment is his report about seeing side by side the ZT60, the best plasma maybe ever made, next to this 2014 LED LCD TV that he said, came very, very close, and in some cases beat the plasma in terms of picture quality. So
I'm just saying, Jimmy Fallon's black suits never looked better than on my OLED.
I mean, there's no question that the OLED is a
really gorgeous,
amazing looking TV.
Yeah. M. Heiss asks, he says he saw a story that Pioneer's getting out of home audio. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Possibly selling to Funai.
Wow. Mike Heiss is my buddy. He's been on my show before.
He knows then.
And he may very well know. Geez, I have to check that out. I hadn't heard that before, Mike. Thanks for the tip.
We thought Godzilla was going to destroy Japan. It turns out it's consumer electronics.
Well, yeah. Korea certainly is eating Japan's lunch in consumer electronics. And I believe that China is going to eat Korea's lunch very soon.
I think you're right, yeah.
So 'twas ever thus, I suppose. So...
Will you stick around to the top of the hour?
Absolutely. Happy to.
All right. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Andrew's in Orange County. Our next caller. Hi, Andrew. Leo Laporte here.
Hello?
Hey, welcome.
It's Andrew from Orange County. How you doing?
I'm well. What can I do for you?
I just got a gift from my daughter for my 60th birthday.
Congratulations.
A Nexus 7. Thank you.
A very nice gift. Yeah.
It is a great gift. I did a lot of research on it. I watched your show. I watched all about Android.
It's my favorite Android tablet. I think it's a good choice.
Yeah, but, I'm running into some issues, and I don't know if it's user error or what. First of all, I was trying to put on an SMS texting app on there.
Right.
Is that not possible?
If it's truly SMS, it requires phone service. SMS is the short message service provided by wireless telephone companies for texting between phones. You can, of course, send messages using WhatsApp, the Facebook Messenger. There are a variety of messaging programs. They use the internet, though. They don't use the SMS technology. Now, did your Nexus 7 come with an LTE connection?
No, it's just Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So I would recommend WhatsApp or something like that. The problem with all of these is, unlike SMS, which works to any phone, I don't know of any messaging system that uses the internet that works to phones. They all require somebody have WhatsApp on the other end or Facebook Messenger on the other end or something like that.
Okay.
So you can message, but not universally, I guess.
Yeah, I did go online and I read about people complaining about 442 KitKat. SMS was removed and, all sorts of things like that. So I was just wondering.
Here's one way you could do it. The chat room reminds me, and this is true. High Five says, you could get a Skype account. Skype works great on the Nexus 7. You can make video calls, audio calls using the internet. And it will also, if you purchase this, you can use text messaging that will not only go to other Skype users, but will go directly to phone numbers.
Yeah, I already have that on there. That's right.
You could also use Google Voice, come to think of it. Google Voice, if you have a Google account, get your voice working, and Voice will also do that.
I do, and I will do that.
Yeah.
The one thing, and I'll leave with this, is that the apps that run on my S3 don't all run on the Nexus 7.
Okay, so your S3, which is a Galaxy phone, and the Nexus 7 both run Android. The problem sometimes is apps say, I'm a tablet app or I'm a phone app. The truth is in Android, because Android is written in such a way that it's screen size independent, many of the phone apps, all the phone apps I've ever used look just great, look fine on a tablet and vice versa. But the app itself may say, no, I don't work on a tablet, or no, I won't work on a phone. In that case, you might look for a tablet version of that app. Which app specifically?
Well, you know what? I've been just browsing around.
Okay.
I didn't let them down.
My experience has been, because I use Android phones and Android tablets, is that everything that I have on my phone works fine. So there may be some specific unusual situations. I know what people are talking about with the probably when you say that KitKat merged or eliminated SMS. The Google Voice was merged into Hangouts, and Google Hangouts still supports SMS, but you have to use Hangouts.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Hangouts is what they did, and I think you can still use Hangouts to do texting.
I understand there's a million programs out there, and they're not all going to be, perfectly running the same on a phone as on a tablet.
Yeah, I remember, I use a Twitter app called Carbon, and the guy kept apologizing, I don't have a tablet version yet. And I used it on the tablet. It worked fine. I mean, maybe there's some layout issues. I don't know. But I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Minor little things like that. You're right.
Yeah, minor things.
Yeah.
Another one, Talkatone, which I have used. Talkatone for a while was designed to take phone calls on my Nexus 7. It was really cool because I tied it into my Google Voice account. But that May 15th, that got disabled.
Yeah, they're gonna disable it.
Yeah, but you can still use Talkatone for. I think I'm not sure if you have to pay for it or not, but you can still use it to make text messages that way. Hangouts will work. In fact, nowadays, that's what you use on many Android phones instead of the built-in messaging is Google Hangouts.
Yeah, the whole reason I got the tablet is that, it's a little bit bigger, and I can, I was hoping you
love it.
Text messaging on it.
Yeah, you should be able to. You should be able to with the Hangouts.
But not with the same app that I have on the...
Not with the message. No, that app specific. In fact, that's a Samsung app that you're using on the S3.
Actually, I'm using
If there's Samsung specific, no, they will not work on the Nexus 7.
Okay, but will they sync?
Yeah, well...
Depends on the app.
It depends on the app. Texting is a little funny because texting is a carrier-provided service. So something like Hangouts, the way it works is it has a interface to the phone system. Syncing the data would work in Hangouts. So but you have to use Hangouts on your S3 and your Nexus 7, and then all the messages will appear in both.
Okay, sounds like I'll have a lot of experimenting to do.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, 25 years in the software business, selling high-end software to manufacturing companies, and today I feel like totally out of it.
It's a new world, isn't it? And you know what? Here's what I really think is happening is that the phone is subsuming not only computers but tablets, and that ultimately, because these phones are so powerful and in our pockets all the time, I agree. I like a bigger screen, but you can get a 6-inch screen. These phones really are what the future of computing is, and it's such a change.
And if they only would give you a good manual to read.
Oh, yeah.
Like reading.
Yeah. What's a manual? When's the last time we got a device, even a computer, that had a manual? I got the new Mac Pro. It had a little fold-out, card-sized fold-out thing that said, turn it on.
There actually was one for the Nexus 7 on the internet.
There's hardly anything,
Pages, yeah.
Here's how you turn it on. Here's how you send in your warranty card, and that's about it.
Well, Samsung came with 265-page manual.
That's an old phone. That's old hat.
Enough detail.
No, I know. You really do have to figure it out. And then for some reason, I think they figure, young people will be able to they just know it's in their blood. I don't know. My suspicion is that what happens is people don't use many of the features. They just don't know they exist. They use 5% of the features and have no idea, which is good for me because that could be something I could do for a living for some time to come. I'll tell you. I'll read the manuals so you don't have to. Bill, Eastvale, California. Hi, Bill. Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Hey, Bill.
Yeah, Leo.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry to keep you waiting. What can I do for you?
It's okay. Thank you so much for your show. Hey, I have a problem with a new Android phone that I just got. I had an old Samsung that I bought for like $20 off a buddy, and it worked great. Had no problems downloading, no problems streaming Netflix. Everything worked great. And the new Samsung Exhibit came out, and my lady got that. I was pretty excited about it. I really liked it a lot, so I started looking around. Couldn't find one. Well, after about 3 weeks of looking, the lady in the store says, well, we got this new LG Optimus. It's as good or better than the Exhibit. And all the signs in the store, of course, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention carrier names.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can't mention anything because I'm going to take a break because we have time for the news. But we'll be back right after it, and I'll finish the call with you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You guys getting ready to go, huh? You've had enough? Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. You didn't come for 1 hour. You came for the whole day. That's right. All right, Scotty. Hey, by the way, So they say you and Mark Waldrop are doing a blind A/B.
Yes. Between 2496 audio, this new high-res form, not so new, but this high-res format, and regular CD quality, 16 bits, 44.1 kilohertz. Yes, Mark Waldrop is the founder of AIX Records, who specializes in high-res audio. And there's a big debate about whether or not people can hear the difference.
I can hear the difference.
You can?
Well, okay, actually, this isn't fair. But I got a Harman Kardon high bit rate Harman Kardon version of the M8 that supports up to 192.24. And I downloaded from HD Tracks, I downloaded some higher res stuff. Now, I could definitely hear the A/B difference. And in fact, I did a blind test on Lisa, who's as deaf as I am, and she could hear the difference. But that was the difference between a high bitrate MP3, if we were using 320 kilobit MP3s, and a FLAC uncompressed audio. So that's very...
At 2496.
The FLAC was, I think, once it was the Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, 170, I think that was 176.24.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because Thriller, when was Thriller? Was it in the 80s?
Yeah.
It might very well have been recorded on analog tape originally.
I think it was a digital recording.
Well, if it was a digital recording and they recorded it at 2496, see, here's the problem.
They remastered it. So that's a good question. I don't know if it's analog.
You have to go back to the very beginning,
yeah.
And you have to know what frequency content was in the original.
No, I understand. Yeah.
You know, and this was the problem with so many tests that have been done. The Boston Acoustic Society did a test, a very carefully controlled test, blind ABX protocols and so on. But much of the material they used, which were SACDs, which are supposed to be this high quality, high res audio,
yeah.
But many of them originated in the 70s and 80s as analog tape, and therefore didn't have any content above 20 kilohertz.
Right. I also got Nora Jones, Come Fly Away With Me, and some modern symphonic recordings.
Which may very well have then had the actual content.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference though is between MP3 and FLAC. So right. I'm gonna have to try, and I can't do this, but because I'll have to resample some CDs in FLAC and then compare them that way. It's hard to do these ABs.
It is very hard,
non-trivial.
Which is why I've posted on AVS Forum. Here's our proposed methodology. What are your comments? What do you think? Is this going to really tell anything? It's not going to be scientific anyway, because what we're going to end up doing is putting a file.
It's ultimately
up on
subjective.
Well, yes, but we're going to put a file up on an FTP server, and it's going to have real 2496 with content above 20K that we're going to verify absolutely. Informational content, not just noise, and a 16 CD quality, and we're going to put them both in a 2496 carrier file, if you will, or container file. And we're not going to tell people which is which, and we're going to say, okay, here's sample A, here's sample B, here's sample A, here's sample B, which is which? And they'll write in and they'll tell us. Now, part of the problem is some people's systems can't reproduce frequencies above 20K.
So what you're testing is something specific, which is response above 20K. I mean, that's not the only thing that high bitrate stuff does.
There's two things. There's response above 20K, and then there's dynamic range, and response above 20K has to do with sampling rate, and dynamic range has to do with bit depth.
But a higher resolution sample may also contain information, even at lower frequencies, that the low res sample doesn't. It's
Incorrect.
like looking. That's not correct?
Nope. There's a theorem called the Nyquist.
Yeah, I understand the Nyquist theorem. But I could tell you, if you had an 8-bit sample versus a 16-bit sample, you'd hear the difference, right?
Depends on how you convert it back to analog. The theorem says that theoretically you can convert that sampled sound back to analog with perfect fidelity.
Because the Nyquist theorem is that if you have double the frequency in resolution.
If your sampling rate is, if no audio sound in the sample is higher than half the sampling frequency, you can reconstruct that audio signal perfectly.
So 44.1 can do 22 kilohertz.
That's right. That's right. Now, that's theoretically. practically speaking, if you implement the filters poorly or you implement some other aspect of the system poorly,
that's
then
why it's
yes,
difficult, because the DAC has something to do with it as well.
Exactly. So, you know, what we're proposing to do on AVS is not scientific. We're not controlling all the variables. There's a lot of uncontrolled variables. It's a first step to
Is the Nyquist
ultimately
theorem accepted fact?
Yes.
Received fact?
Yep. Afraid so. It was surprising to me, too, that you could take a stair-step waveform, which is what, you know, a sampled sound would be, and convert it back to the smooth waveform without any loss at all. But mathematically, it is absolutely possible. I was surprised at that myself. So, you know, we're going to see. The other problem with SACD is that in the early day, you know, SACD uses a different kind of sampling. It's not what we call PCM. And it samples at a very high sampling rate, 2.8 megahertz, with only 1 bit of resolution. But it's using pulse density modulation, not pulse width modulation. So it's a different formula. The Nyquist theorem doesn't really apply. But there's a lot of noise in it that they noise shape out of the audio band from up to 20 kilohertz. But above 20 kilohertz, there's a ton of noise. So there's no real program content above 20 kilohertz unless you sample at 4.4 megahertz and beyond, which now some people do. But in the early days of SACD, it was all that. And so again, even though SACD is marketed as a high-res audio format, there's no real content above 20 kilohertz. So this is a very interesting and complex field. And I want to explore it on AVS with member participation. Another very interesting experiment Mark Waldrop recommends is play a sine wave at 12 kilohertz, okay? Most of us can hear that. People with severe hearing loss might not be able to, but most of us can hear 12 kilohertz. Then play a square wave at 12 kilohertz. Now, square waves, of course, have harmonics in them. Sine waves do not. So the question is, can you hear the difference? And you record it at 2496. So can you hear the difference between a 12 kilohertz sine wave and a 12 kilohertz square wave whose first harmonic will be at 24 kilohertz, which will be recorded by the 2496 sampling, digital audio recording. And the question is, can you tell the difference between a sine wave and a square wave under those conditions? If you can reliably identify that's the square wave, then you are hearing something above 20 kilohertz.
All right. Thank you, Scotty.
My pleasure.
We'll talk again next week. And thanks for filling in for me end of the month. I appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, cell phones, camcorders, MP3 players, home theater, all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo's the number, 888-827-5536. The website, if you hear something on the air and you say, what was that? You just go to the website, techguylabs.com, and it'll all be there thanks to our transcriptionists who are scribbling as I write. We also, after the fact, post audio and video of every show so you can watch or listen and go question my question. In fact, your comments are more than welcome if you think I got it wrong or you want to add something. A lot of talk about our previous call about whether you can truly do SMS texting on a Nexus 7. And somebody came in the chat room and said, mighty text. But I believe Mighty Text, well, certainly worth looking at. I use Mighty Text on my phone to share texts from the phone with my tablet or computer. But, Hangouts, maybe, I don't know. We're going to have to keep working on that. That's where the comments are to come in handy. Just go to the website, look for that last call from hour 1, and put your thoughts in there. Now, we were in the middle of a call, and we took a break, and Bill is still on the line from Eastvale, California. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Leo.
Sorry to have interrupted. So let's start over for people who just joined us.
Okay, I got a new LG Optimus. My old Samsung worked great doing, on the internet, streaming stuff, downloading, whatever, had no problems, but it was getting pretty old, hard to see. So I got this new phone. I was told it was a good phone.
It is. It's a very nice phone.
Better or, as good as the Exhibit.
Yeah, both of those are kind of lower end than the flagship phones from either manufacturer, but they're good.
Right. Well, anyways, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention a carrier or not.
Sure. I love naming names.
Okay. Metro, yes, combined with T-Mobile, I believe it is. And all their signs are saying now on all the new phones that Metro sells, all the new Androids are on the new T-Mobile network, downloading internet speed 7 times faster. So I thought, okay, that's a plus.
Your mileage may vary.
So exactly. So I got this new phone, and it doesn't do anything. I mean, I can't watch Netflix. I listen to KFI every day. I can't download anything, any videos off a KFI website. If and when something does start streaming, it'll stream for about 1 second and then buffer for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So you've got bandwidth issues, clearly. It may be that where you are, T-Mobile doesn't have a good signal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you're right, that's who you're using now is T-Mobile. So that could be it. Do you see at the top of the phone the indicator? Does it show 3G? Does it show 4G?
It always shows 4G unless I'm at work, which I am now out in Eastvale, and every once in a while it'll drop down to 2, but it comes right back.
Yeah. And bars are usually 4 or 5. You getting some good bars on there?
Well, right now I've got 5 bars, 4G.
Well, that's about as good as you can get. That should be as fast as T-Mobile offers in that area.
Yeah, but it won't.
It's not very fast. So one thing you can do is download a speed test app, and I probably do that right now. You can get it off the Play Store. They're free. Just look for Speed Test. The one I use is from Okla, O-K-L-A. But there are a number of these, and that'll give you some idea of what kinds of speeds you're getting, and that's going to vary a lot. This is the problem with wireless, is that the bandwidth you get on a wireless phone is coming from whatever cell tower you're on. Each cell tower has to have its own backhaul to the internet. And if they don't put a lot of bandwidth into that particular cell tower, or more likely, if a lot of people are using that same cell tower, it won't change the number of bars. You're still getting a strong signal, but it will slow down the internet speed. So it may be that, and that's why a speed test is helpful. As you move around, you're in a congested area, you're going to get much worse service than you are in the middle of the night at another area, right?
Right.
So does it work better late at night?
Yes, but it still won't do anything. I mean,
yeah,
it won't buffer quite as long, but even still, once it stops buffering, it'll play for maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and it'll start buffering again. And I never had any problems at all with that old beat-up Samsung.
And you were on Metro PCS?
I was on the old Metro PCS network, yeah.
I'm not sure if they how they did the network transition. Whether I'm trying to see here if they just disconnected the Metro PCS towers, or they merged them, or what exactly happened. It sounds like the coverage maps are Metro PCS's, not T-Mobile's. So I'm wondering if they've completed the transition. They are maintaining Metro PCS as a separate entity, but that could be in name only. I don't know what's happening to the towers. The other issue is maybe that phone isn't super fast. So I think a speed test is the first thing to do. See what kind of connectivity you're getting.
And what kind of speed should I expect to see on it?
Well, if you want to watch YouTube videos or listen to KFI, you should be getting, a high 3 digits, 768 kilobits, something like that. A megabit would be ideal. But again, it's going to go up and down. The other thing to check is to make sure, and all these companies do this, which is very frustrating, that you haven't used so much data that they're throttling you. So you go to these companies, they say, unlimited bandwidth, unlimited data, but what they don't tell you is after 5 gigabytes, sometimes more, sometimes less, they're going to slow you down to a crawl. Technically, you're still getting unlimited data, but it's unusable as well.
Right. I am on. They do have a plan that after so many megabytes, they drop you down to 3G.
Yeah.
But I pay extra, and they claim it is totally 100% unlimited.
Okay, that's good. The other thing is when you use this phone on Wi-Fi, are you able to do all this stuff, watch video?
It really does about the same thing.
Oh, all right. There we go. So that's the phone then. So you're on Wi-Fi, you're getting plenty of throughput. It's not a bandwidth issue on Wi-Fi. If I should ask you this right up front. Yeah, that sounds like there's something wrong with the phone. Is it you passed the 30-day return window?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not you should be getting plenty of bandwidth on Wi-Fi, and if it's still buffering, it still can't play back audio, it's an issue with the phone. Now, I think you shouldn't have trouble with that Optimus, so maybe something's wrong with that particular Optimus.
Right. Right. Okay.
I would take it into the T-Mobile store. Are you still going to Metro PCS, or are you going to a T-Mobile store now?
I still go to the Metro store.
Yeah, bring it into the Metro store. That's not normal. An Optimus should do better than that. Admittedly, not the latest and greatest, but you were able to do it with your Captivate or whatever, so you should be able to.
Yeah, it was an old beat up.
Yeah, so you should be able to do it. You know, one thing they might have you do is reset the phone, start over. Sometimes, something just goes wrong. And and it could be that, but yeah, if it's this, I should have asked you right up front. If it's doing the same thing under Wi-Fi, it's not a bandwidth issue. If Wi-Fi works fine, then it's not a phone issue. That makes sense, right? Yep.
Okay, can I ask you one more quick question?
Sure.
Like I said, my lady has the exhibit. Since we both got the new phones, I receive her texts all the time. She receives nothing from me, and everybody else I know receives my texts.
There's something wrong with your phone. That sounds like your phone.
It's gotta be the phone.
That sounds like your phone is. In fact, it sounds like the APN is set wrong. It might be something very quickly fixable in the settings at the Metro PCS store.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like something else is going on too.
All right, Leo. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. That's too bad because it is a nice phone, and you should have a better experience than that. You really should. They should fix it for you, though we all know how wonderfully cell phone companies take care of their customers. The chat room's telling me that Metro PCS is slowly, T-Mobile is slowly shutting down Metro PCS towers, but it's not immediate. But again, I don't think that that's the issue. If it's on the same thing on Wi-Fi, I think it's the phone. 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls coming up. John, you're next in Canyon Country, California. Stay tuned. Yeah, most cases your LTE might be faster than your home. Or many cases. Our show today brought to you by our good buddies at LegalZoom.com. I am such a fan. You know, Bill Handel is a fan as well, my partner in crime and radio. He is a lawyer. He offers on his radio show marginal legal advice. But one thing he tells people, and I think it's really right on, is use LegalZoom. So many of your legal documents can be done yourself. LegalZoom's not a law firm. See, they provide self-help services. You guide the process. They work. Well, let's give you an example. You want to start a new business? This is what I did. I used an LLC, and it was so simple. I didn't need a lawyer. I just walked through the questionnaire at LegalZoom.com, paid the state filing fees, $99 to LegalZoom, and boom, I am an LLC. And that's 8 years ago. We're still using those same papers. Maybe you want to be a Chapter S or Chapter C corporation. Have you filed a trademark for your brand name, your logo, your ideas? What about your family? You can do this all at LegalZoom.com. Create a last will and testament, a durable power of attorney, financial and health care. These things are useful, and I would argue necessary. But it doesn't have to be complicated or expensive. You can do it at LegalZoom.com. And if you do say, hey, I really would like to ask a question of an attorney, LegalZoom will connect you with an attorney in their legal plan. These are great. They're very affordable. They're pre-negotiated monthly flat rate prices, very low prices. So you can ask questions of an attorney registered in your state. You can find the attorney via their profiles and unedited customer reviews. Get the right person for you. LegalZoom, they provide legal help through independent attorneys and self-help services, but it's not a law firm. I think it's better. You get $10 off when you visit LegalZoom.com. Make sure you use our offer code 10 Tech Guy at checkout. This is, I used it and I recommend it. LegalZoom.com. Visit the website. You'll see all the things you can do there. Get that business going for much less than you might think. LegalZoom.com. Use the offer code Tech Guy now. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Big tech stories coming up. AT&T is supposedly tomorrow will be announcing that they're going to acquire DirecTV, the satellite TV company. Like, the market shrinks even more. Comcast trying to merge with Time Warner. By the way, Samsung put out a press release yesterday, which I kind of bought into, saying that at Heathrow, the big airport in London, they were going to rename Terminal 5 to Terminal Galaxy S5. Samsung says, we were just joking. Heathrow said, what? I don't think so. Not going to happen. And I want a little pat on the back for Apple and Google. You know, these guys have been suing each other by proxy for years now. Apple suing Samsung, Motorola, and other Android manufacturers, saying, you stole our ideas, you stole our design. In fact, Apple's won recently another case against Samsung. Apple and Google have agreed to drop their lawsuits. Google owns Motorola for the moment. Both companies have agreed to drop their lawsuits, will not cross-license. They're just going to give up, surrender mutually, and in fact will cooperate on patent reform. I wondered after the last lawsuit where Apple only got a little over $100 million from Samsung, and Samsung won a little bit from Apple, if these companies might start to realize that it is not a good war, that the cost of the war is way higher than the benefits, the public relations cost, and in fact, during these trials, all sorts of secret documents on both sides, Apple and Samsung, were revealed in discovery, sometimes embarrassing to both companies. It's not a good thing. It was really a war that Steve Jobs declared. He said he would spend his last penny to his dying breath to right the wrong Google caused stealing the iPhone. He declared nuclear war on Google, and that war was being fought. I think cooler heads have prevailed at Apple. Now that Steve's been gone a couple of years, Apple finally said, this isn't good for anybody. Certainly not good for end users. Hallelujah. Glad to hear it. A pat on the back to both Google and Apple. Put down your weapons. Time to get going and make better phones, both of you. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the number. John on the line from Canyon Country, California. Hi, John. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo.
How are you?
I'm good. My question has to do with CD ripping. I've been a long-time audiobooks listener, and I usually like to take them walking and so forth, so I rip them into MP3s, put them on my iPad, and listen to them there.
Perfect.
In recent times, let's say with the two new machines I have a new HP 700 NV 8.1, Windows 8.1, and my wife also has an iMac with Maverick, and both of those machines rip so much slower now than the old machine. I still have an old Mac that's the one I go to now because it'll rip like 3 times faster than either of the new machines.
That's odd.
Might just be iTunes because I use iTunes versions on all 3 machines, both Windows and Mac. But I also tried it with a Fairstars ripper, a separate third-party ripper, and found a similar process. It'll run at about 2x to 3x, sometimes all the way through the CD. Sometimes near the end of a CD, it'll finally maybe jump up to 15, 18, and then, finish off the last 2 or 3 tracks.
That is odd. These are much faster machines. They have more memory, faster hard drives. All of this should be a lot faster. Now, one thing you might want to check in your iTunes is the bit rate at which you are ripping.
It seems to be independent. I've tried it at bit rates.
Doesn't matter, huh?
30 or 32, for mono, and all the way up to 192, I think, for music. And it does not seem to matter.
It doesn't speed it up.
Music or whether it's recorded books.
Yeah, because on a voice, recording 32 kilobits mono is all you need, probably.
Right.
But that's not faster than a high-resolution sample.
Right, and it seems like the speed that the ripping process occurs appears to be virtually independent of ripper speed or sample magnitude or frequency.
Now, you can, in the settings on iTunes, you can turn on error correction, which significantly slows it down when it's ripping. You've turned that off.
Because I don't want the errors. I don't want to miss things in the book.
Well, that will slow it down. So you could try turning it off and see if it speeds it up a little bit.
Well, in the old machine, I always have it on, and it's the one that gives me fast response. In other words, I'm comparing apples to apples. So
I understand. It doesn't seem, in every respect, that new machine should be faster.
Yes, I would agree.
In fact, we used to use CD ripping as one of the metrics as we got newer machines. How quickly will it rip a CD? Nobody uses CDs anymore. In fact, most new machines don't even have CD players. But so that's less of a metric than it used to be. That is odd. I don't know what it is.
No, and I've had many samples since I've been doing this, and it seems to be quite consistent. I just wondered if anybody, you or anybody in the chat room, had any idea what might have happened. Is it the drive? Is it the software?
It might be the disc itself. I mean, make sure the disc is clean and it's. But it's a variety of discs. It sounds like.
Yeah, believe me, I do. I clean them. I'll even rub them down. I've got a cleaner, and I try that, and it just seems to be totally independent of all of that. Just seems to be the new machines don't run as fast.
Now, you've tried, it may be the new iTunes doesn't run as fast. iTunes is a horrible thing.
Well, that's so I went to this third-party ripper.
And even that was slow.
Fair Stars, I think it's called. Yeah. And although it doesn't offer me the features that iTunes does, like telling me the disc number, putting the disc number on the track, it just records as if it were a single disc and not part of a book.
So you're saying they're ripping at about 2 to 1. So a minute takes 30 seconds. A minute of audio takes about 30 seconds.
In other words, those are ripping 2x to 3x, right now.
It should be so much faster. It should be more on the order of 1/20th the total length of the audio file.
Right. My old machines, this old machine will sometimes get up as high as almost to 40.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense at all. I just don't know. I really don't know. It's impacted by the hardware. It's impacted by the disk. It just baffles me this is happening on both Windows and Mac iTunes.
Right, and on a third-party ripper. And it used to be as good on my old XP machine. It worked just like the old Mac. So it's like the old machines work great. New machines don't.
I'm baffled. The chat room is baffled. We're going to have to see if we can... You just keep listening. We'll see if we can find a solution for that. I haven't ripped a CD in a while, I have to admit. In fact, all my discs are long gone. It should be awfully fast. I wonder if part of the issue is the original hardware was a CD player, and all the modern hardware are DVD players. They're not as fast because they do more things. I guess the answer is really get that stuff off those CDs and get rid of the CDs and never buy another CD. I don't know why. No one in the chat room seems to know if you're ripping directly to a disc. It should work fine. It's in Windows and Mac. We don't know. You've stumped the panel. But keep looking on the website, techguylabs.com, John. Somebody might answer it in the comments there. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Any ripping I'd do from now on would be lossless, absolutely. I'd rip in FLAC, or if I'm on an Apple, I guess, Apple lossless. I don't know. It's baffling. Oh, that's a good question. A USB external, do you think it could be that? There's a good article. Thank you, Untoward. Why ripping can be slow from Free Rip. What can cause slow ripping? If your PC CD reader supports CD reading at 10x, you should expect ripping time 1/10 of actual length, right? And most drives now are like 52x, right? Try it with different CDs. I think he did. Rip it to WAV, rip it to MP3. Is ripping to WAV faster? It should be. If it's not, then there's problems on the CD reading side. This is good. This is very good. This is very orderly. This is good. But let's put that free rip manual. Hey, Abby, in the website. How about that? He is Johnny Jet Transportation Master. All over the world. The last time we talked, let's see, you were on a riverboat, then you were in Italy, then you were on a cruise, you were sailing from one to Italy, and now where are you?
I'm in Toronto, where it's really cold, actually, 36 degrees when I woke up this morning.
And we ain't talking centigrade, Celsius.
No,
36 degrees Fahrenheit. Oy.
So that's about 1 degree Celsius.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But,
it's freezing.
You know, it's good for me because I have a lot of work to do. I had very slow internet on the ship. So I was I took my dad on a dream trip. We went to Barcelona. We went to France, Monte Carlo, Italy.
Fun.
Then I took him to where his parents are from in Italy, the island of Ischia. And it ended up in Rome, and we had an amazing trip.
I saw your pictures from Rome on your Instagram feed. They're really great stuff. Sounds so wonderful.
We had so much fun, and that was a one-star cruise. But actually, speaking of cruises, I just saw today on Travel Zoo they have a deal, $499 for a 10-night cruise to Italy, Greece, and Turkey.
Ooh, I've done that. I've done that cruise, and I love it.
I mean, it's amazing.
That was our cruise last year. Yeah. How much?
On $499 a person.
Can't be right.
It's actually it's in my Twitter feed. If you hit my Twitter feed, I just tweeted it a couple hours ago.
At Johnny Jet. Travel Zoo, is that a good site?
They are, but the problem with Travel Zoo, you gotta act fast because there's
other people are also using Travel Zoo. Yeah.
They have over 20 million subscribers to their newsletter. So when you see that deal, you got to jump on it.
Is it better? See, I do all my travel arrangements online using Expedia and Kayak and but somebody told me, maybe it was you, that when you're booking a cruise, it's actually better to use a travel agent, not to do it yourself.
That was me.
Why is
totally
that?
Agree with it. Because the cruise people, first of all, unless you're like a seasoned cruiser, but if you're not, usually cruise agents have deals where they can get you upgraded, and they know which ships are best and what your routing is, and they can work it for you.
So I'm looking to do a European river cruise in the fall.
I'm supposed to do one in a month with Emerald Waterways, which is a brand new ship.
There are a lot of them. There's Tauk, there's Ama, there's
so many.
There's so many of them.
Tauk one too.
Everybody sees the ads now on Downton Abbey for the Viking river cruises.
And I did the Viking one with Natalie at Christmas. It was amazing, and I've done the scenic cruises.
Apparently that's big now. River cruise. It's the new big thing.
It is without a doubt the biggest thing right now.
Because you're going slow. You can get off the boat every day. You don't get seasick.
You don't get seasick. You have cell reception. And actually, here's a quick tip.
Isn't that funny? It's what it's really about is the internet. Can I get on the internet? That's what it's really about.
The river cruises do offer free internet. The cruise ships do not. The cruise ships are expensive.
Yeah, it's satellite.
Windstar was really expensive, and luckily they were giving it to me
and
for
slow,
free.
I bet.
That was super slow.
Yeah.
But I used my T-Mobile phone, which I'm a fan of. But I left it on overnight when we were going from Barcelona to France.
Oops.
And I woke up and it said, "Welcome to Iceland." I'm like, Iceland? Where the heck did the captain go? And then I got another message saying that you accrued $100 in roaming charges. And I'm like, oh, man. So turn your phone off when you're on a cruise until you get to the port. If you're using...
Yeah. Or just turn off data. You can still play Angry Birds. Just turn off data.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Correct. So anyway... I got a website and an app if we have time.
Sure, go for it.
But before we go, by the way, I want to mention San Francisco Airport. Today, they're closing 2 of their 4 runways for the summer, till mid-September.
For the summer? Why?
Because they're doing construction. So keep that in mind.
Fly into Oakland is the answer on that.
It is, and avoid San Francisco during peak hours.
Didn't you also say Newark is doing big construction too?
Yeah, you want to stay away from Newark until at least July 15th because they are doing construction, and they close the air train and the train.
Oh, man.
So those are my tips to make sure if you're transferring to Asia or to Europe or wherever, or just going to those destinations, think about using the alternate airports.
Yeah.
And actually, I have a website called alternateairports.com.
AlternateAirports.com. Yeah, because in the Bay Area, there's San Jose, there's Oakland. You don't have to go to SFO.
I mean, every city pretty much has an alternate airport, and that's how you save money too. You know?
Look, alternate airports brings me to you. Oh, I see.
It's my site. It's my site.
This is your site. Okay. So these are all the, sometimes when you are searching on Kayak or whatever, it'll say, is it okay to have nearby airports? These are the nearby airports you could conceivably be going into.
And the miles are in the parentheses, and that's the actual drive.
How far away? Okay.
So okay, so here's a good site for you that I just learned about today.
Yes.
It's called Air Help, and the website is getairhelp.com.
All right.
So what these guys do is if you're delayed or canceled or overbooked on an airline, you know, the airlines don't tell you that you're due money. And unless it's due to the weather or something, they're supposed to give you up to $1,300 for a domestic flight or $800 for a European
If you're
flight.
delayed, I'm delayed all the time.
Well, if it's not weather, if it's mechanical and stuff like that, and it all depends on how many hours you're delayed. There's a lot of variables.
And this is by law.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
the law neglected to tell the airlines they had to tell you.
You know, the airlines play games. So this service I just learned about, and they supposedly have had helped 25,000 frustrated flyers so far this year. You know, they'll fight for you for free if you don't get anything, and if they get something, they take 25%, which I think is fair.
Hey, 25% of
what you get
of nothing is nothing. So it's better to have that than nothing.
So I'm actually going to try it because I had an experience recently on a foreign carrier where I missed my flight because it was a mechanical issue, and I fought it myself, and they came up with some crazy rule that I never heard of, and now I'm going to try these guys and see if they can get me some money.
I am too, because I could think of about a dozen flights where it wasn't air. One, we were waiting for the stewardesses to arrive.
We call them flight attendants now.
Sorry. The flight attendants. I'm very old school. But that's what they said. They even came on the speaker. They said, well, your plane's here, your captain's here, but the flight attendants haven't arrived, so we're just going to wait. And it was an hour.
Yep. Well, and if you missed your connection like I did.
Lisa jumped up. She said, I'll do it. I said, I think you have to be trained.
Oh, my God.
He said, I'll serve drinks. Look at us on that plane.
Okay, we better you're gonna get some.
That doesn't work.
No.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No. You have to be safety trained. All right, that's a good flight.
All right.
GetAirHelp.com.
All right, I got something else. By the way, I mentioned Sign Easy 2 weeks ago, and you asked me, was it legal for the contracts? And it is. I actually signed 3 contracts this week. I tested it out,
awesome.
And no problem. So
you signed 3 contracts? You want to share anything? Did you get that big movie deal?
No, not yet. I'm waiting for the Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Who's going to play Johnny Jet in the movie? Oh, that one. We'll send you that one soon. I really want to do that. Really, we do want to do a Johnny Jet travel show. The problem is you're never home.
I think we should do it every week wherever I am.
Yeah, well, there you go.
More fun.
That's a good idea.
You can come join me. You can come meet.
Heck yeah. Where are you going next?
Actually, I haven't been home in California in over a month, but I'm actually not going to California next. I'm going to, I got another destination.
See, he can't tell us. He has all these secret destinations. All right, you said there is an app. What's the app?
Okay, the app is called VegOutApp.com.
I like it. So I don't even know what it does, but I'll buy it.
This is for vegetarians.
Oh, I'm less interested.
Okay, but I mean that's a big problem. I hear from people.
No. Many
vegetarians are they're afraid to travel overseas because they don't think they can get vegetarian stuff. So this will help them. And I'm not a vegetarian, but I respect vegetarians. I wish I was because I'd be a lot thinner.
You know, it's funny. It's powered by It's powered by something called Happy Cow.
Well, HappyCow.net is a very popular vegetarian website where it'll tell you where to eat as well.
JohnnyJet.com. That's the place to go get travel advice from the best traveler in the world, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls to come. Veg Out. VegOutApp.com. We love you, Johnny. You're the best.
Oh, man, you're the best.
You're the best. So,
you are.
So I was looking at all the different river cruises, and I thought the one that I might do, I think we're trying to decide whether to do France. Then I talked about, well, we could go Amsterdam to Basel, Switzerland, down the Rhine, She kind of liked that idea because it's castles and stuff.
I like that. I like that. The Mosel River in Germany.
Yeah.
But the Danube, I've done it. I'm supposed to do it in a month, but then I've done it twice in the last year. The scenic cruises is all Australians, and they're really fun to hang out with.
Yeah, they're party animals.
The Viking River is a really nice ship, but it's actually one grade below, and they're all Americans.
So now I'm never going to do Viking because it's advertised on Downton Abbey. I don't want to do that. So I was thinking of doing Uniworld. Are you familiar with Uniworld?
Yeah. I've not done them. They've been asking me to do it, and they have a couple new ships out there.
Tell them your buddy Leo. The new ships are done. So there's one, the SS Antoinette, that's done as if Marie Antoinette decorated it.
I know. I was looking at it last night.
It's wild.
They emailed me last night asking me to go on it.
Well, I want to go on it. Then the new one, the SS Catherine, is decorated as if Catherine the Great decorated it.
Well, maybe since I don't have time, you can cover it for me.
I will, and I'll write it up for the Johnny Jet travel.
I bet you I can work that out.
I know. I don't do that stuff, though. I can't.
Okay. I do want to have it covered. I need to have that because
if we go, I will tell you all about it.
Okay.
It looks pretty darn nice.
It is, and I heard it's good. The talc one is supposed to be really good, but
talc is supposed to be good.
Emerald Waterways.
You're going on that one next, right?
I'm supposed to be, but I think I have to cancel because I just got hired for a gig.
That's what you were signing a contract for, huh?
Yeah, you got.
For which channel?
No, not a channel.
Not a channel?
I can't tell you.
When are you going to have the Johnny Jet on Discovery? That's the channel for you.
I had the Travel Channel show. It was a 1 hour special that went well. Richard Branson gave me a tour of Necker Island, which was.
You went to Necker Island?
With Sir Richard. He's the one who gave me a tour. Then he gave me a tour of his spaceship in New Mexico. I mean, I was living large.
See, this is what you ought to be doing in your life. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to book a fall cruise on the. Go ahead.
You would like? I would do the scenic cruise. I would check it out.
The scenic?
Scenic cruises are called.
Is that a brand name?
It's a brand name. They're popular in Australia, and now they're starting to be in Canada.
I do like Aussies.
The Aussies are really fun to travel with.
Scenictours.com.
But the Viking ship's really nice. It's just it's
too many Americans. I don't like Americans.
And I love Americans except when I'm traveling abroad.
Because the point is you're supposed to be abroad, right? Right. Well, this looks nice. So you hear good things about this, huh?
I've been on it. I did it last summer. And they had balconies, which...
Yeah, I don't want no French balcony. I want to get out there and dip my toe in the river.
Most don't, and it doesn't really... On river cruises, though, it doesn't matter that much because a lot of times they tie up to other ships, so you don't get to see anything.
Oh, that's no good.
When you're in port,
right?
Or docked. But
see, this is the one I want to do, and you can't. You need a smaller ship to do this Bordeaux River cruise. This looks good. Paris. Bordeaux.
Well, these are big ships. These are like the largest ships out there. They can't get any bigger because they won't fit in the whatever you want to call it. I can't forget. I'm spacing on the.
They can't get onto the bridge.
The lock. They can't get.
Yeah, but look at the size of the bridge. They got to go under that.
But the locks are. There's like 60 locks on some of these trips.
Yeah. Oh, this looks good.
But you'll like the technology on Scenic, by the way. They're the only ones that have a bicycle that's motorized.
I do like. Many of them have bicycles, so you get off, you ride around, and then you get back.
But these guys have a motorized bike.
I want to pedal. Thank you, Johnny.
Take care.
See ya. Sorry not to smile when Will is rapping. He's the Fresh Prince. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We're taking your calls, talking high tech. We go to Placerville, California for our next call. Jan is on the line. Hi, Jan.
Well, good afternoon, my old friend. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
Well, confused.
That's because you own a personal confuser.
I've got yeah. I've been in the business since '59, so I'm really confused. I've got a couple of netbooks with XP, so I decided to upgrade it to Ubuntu 14.04.
Yes, sir.
Downloaded the ISO.
Yeah.
Converted it to a DVD.
Yeah.
Loaded it up.
Yeah. It booted fine?
Well, maybe.
So all of these, Ubuntu and everybody, this is a Linux operating system, free operating system. It's a really good choice for somebody who has either a netbook or an older machine. and doesn't want to run the risk of running XP.
Correct.
And so it's not a bad choice, but it is a kind of a geeky choice. You have to kind of know what you're doing. All of these Linuxes have what they call a boot CD mode. They can run from a USB key or a CD-ROM or a DVD-ROM. And it's a good idea to do that before you install them because it'll give you an idea of what's working and what's not. So it sounds like it's not working.
Good to know post facto. Anyway, well, I fumbled through it and ended up with a full desktop.
Oh, good.
Looked okay.
Yeah.
Ran on Firefox a couple of email downloads.
Yeah.
Worked fine.
Uh-huh.
Ran a couple of documents in LibreOffice.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah.
Worked fine.
Okay.
Shut it down last night.
Yeah.
Boot up this morning. All I have is a command prompt.
Oh, no.
Doesn't spin the DVD. Doesn't do a thing.
Were you running off the DVD?
Well, I left it plugged in.
Well, here's how this thing, the live CDs work, is that you can boot from the DVD, and you have to go into the BIOS on the netbook and tell it, boot up from the DVD, not the hard drive. And then it'll run. It won't run very fast because it's running off of a disc, an optical disc, but at least you can see if it works. But then if you shut it down or you pop the disc out, it doesn't run anymore because you didn't install it. So the question is, when you do these boot discs, if you look on your desktop, there'll be an icon that says install. Did you do that?
I don't remember.
You probably didn't. My guess is you didn't. But that's fine. So what you need to do is restart the machine to boot from that DVD and run the installer.
Well, I've tried unplugging the DVD and rebooting.
Yeah.
And all I get's a command prompt.
Is it a DOS command prompt or a Linux command?
Well, I don't know. It's looks like a command prompt, but it's only a hyphen. That's it.
I don't know what that is. Okay, so
C dot colon back.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. It should be at least if it's a Linux prompt, I think you'll get a %sign, a dash.
No, I have nothing.
Sounds like that's the bootloader, and it's not going anywhere. So make sure there's nothing in your disk drive or your USB slots. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. I think what happened is the bootloader did not install completely or successfully. The bootloader is the Linux version of the master boot record of what starts up the operating system.
Right, sure.
You're familiar with that idea.
Yep.
There's still a master boot record, but then it jumps to a bootloader, which then jumps to Linux. So, well, some people are saying try typing. This is not a long-term solution, but just to see. The word start X, which will start X window, the GUI interface to Linux. I know that's very old school, but thank you for that suggestion, Chapman.
I can't get anything into command.
You can't even type anything, yeah.
No, it's
not booting. So what you need to do is you need to put that Linux DVD back in the drive, restart the machine, making sure you make the modification in BIOS to boot from the disk. You must have done that once.
Can't get anything in the boot disk. I mean, that's it. Comes up just with a prompt. That's
but you can't open. You're saying I can't open the disk drive?
No, can't do anything. Thank you very much.
There's no. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you. You're saying there's no eject key on that. See, these netbooks were such junk, weren't they?
No, this is an Asus. It's pretty good.
All right. Well, there's got to be a way to eject the disk. You're saying the way you would open the DVD drawer is with a button on in Windows or something.
No, the only way I can eject the disk is with a button on the drive.
Okay, well press that button on the drive then.
Well, I've done that.
Yeah, and is the drive open?
Yeah.
Okay, take the DVD, put it in it.
Okay.
Okay. Now you got to reboot, shut down the whole thing by pressing the on/off key and holding it till the whole thing shuts down.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah. You sound skeptical. That's because you've worked in the business 40 years. You know that nothing is going to operate as expected. Press and hold the on/off switch. That's how you turn it off completely. And then the screen will go blank. And then you can push in the disk, turn on the machine, boot to the DVD. And now what you want to do is on the command line, there's an installer. I think what happened is the install didn't complete. You were running, but you were running partially on the disk, partially on the hard drive. I'm not sure what was going on.
Don't know.
Yeah, but if you could start all over again by booting up from that Linux disk, and then just make sure you fully install that Linux on the netbook. You know, maybe sometimes netbooks had tiny drives, and maybe the drive's not very big.
I don't know, 16 gig or so.
That's plenty.
It's not giant, but
no, but that's plenty for Linux.
Yeah.
So
I don't see it. Oh well.
Okay, then remove the battery. Can you do that?
Yeah, I can get the battery out.
All right, well, that'll turn it off too. Unplug it and remove the battery. Then put the battery back in, start it up. You got to boot to that Linux disk and run the installer and make sure it completes fully before you then eject the disk. And it should then run.
I'll poke around with it and see what we can do.
It may also be that there's something going on with that netbook. Remember, you only paid a couple $100 for it.
Oh, not even that.
Yeah. So you can't really complain.
Well, I go back far enough that before I got into electronics engineering, I programmed NCR 315.
Wow.
Remember those?
No.
Thank you.
I didn't do computers until you could have one on my actual desk.
Well, this was back in '59.
Yeah. I was 4 years old. I have no idea.
5081 Hollerith cards.
The size of that thing, you needed a room to put it in.
Pretty much.
Yeah, and a raised floor to put the wires. And were they using tapes? They weren't using hard drives, right? His memory was on tapes, right?
No. 5081 cards.
Oh, punch cards.
Hollerith cards, sure.
Hollerith cards. Oh, my goodness. Do not
long time ago.
Fold, bend, staple, or mutilate.
Spindle.
Don't staple or spindle them. Well, my friend, you are what we call in the business a graybeard. You are a
long gray beard.
A pioneer of technology. So
yeah, I live in Placerville. Everybody up here's got.
Hey, bring the netbook down. Come into our studio. We'll work on it down here.
I may do that.
Jan, I'll take you up on it. Hey, it's nice to talk to you.
Thank you, my friend.
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.
I see a dash. What's it doing? I don't know. That's the computer going, I don't know what the heck's going on. I think that's the computer saying, I haven't loaded anything. I am just sitting here waiting for you to give me a command. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We're going to go back to the phones right after news at the top of the hour. The website, techguylabs.com. You go there. You'll find links to everything we've talked about on the show, including a link to Ubuntu, ubuntu.com, where you can download a version of Ubuntu, put it on a USB stick or a CD, and boot it and try it yourself. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. No, spindle is not impaling. Spindle, as you would expect from the name, is taking your Hollerith card, your punch card, and wrapping it around a spindle, which could... This is just the kind of things geeks do, you know, just habitually. That is spindled. That will not work. Do not spindle your cards. Do not mutilate. Do not poke them. That's putting it on a... Yeah, you could do that too. Punching it on the hole in it. Fold, spindle, or mutilate. Kenny, we don't actually support that XBMC extension, so I don't have any experience with it. I don't know. It sounds like it cannot keep up for some reason. But I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why. Yes, DLR says something that they impale receipts on. Now that's a good question. Is that a spindle, huh?
Yes.
So a spindle would be to puncture it with a thing, with a poker. Well, I'm trying to find a definition of the word spindle. In textiles, of course, it's like a spool. That's what we were talking about. Computing, a spindle is a hard disk drive. The axis, or disk packaging, is a spindle. In biology, other uses, let's see, office stationery, a device for holding paper documents, a spindle.
There it is.
Or colloquially, a spike. That is spindled. So you're absolutely right. All this time I've thought it was to wrap it around a spindle, but it is to poke it with a spindle.
I've used those in an office before.
And I could see why people would be likely to do that with their Hollerith cards, their punch cards, spindle them. Hey, I want to talk about Ring Central real quickly. Let me get the Ring Central lower third up so I can talk to you about our phone system. Normally this would not be a topic of great fascination, but I just happen to be a big fan of Ring Central. When we built the studios here, we installed it as our phone system. I really didn't want to go to the phone company. You know me, I'm not a fan of the phone company. But we needed to have a phone system. Ring Central is a all cloud-based digital phone system that works so well. I've been so happy with it, and I can fully recommend it. One of the nice things about being cloud-based when you're doing a phone system is you can add features all the time. There's no big PBX in the basement. There's no hardware to configure. As a user, it's a great deal, $25 a month per user. But you also get all these additional features that they add all the time. They've just added this new video meetings. You can meet with anybody. They don't even have to be a Ring Central customer. So we get the voicemails and the email, the fax messages on our smartphones, all that stuff, the auto receptionist. But with meetings now, we can host face-to-face meetings in high def, shared desktops. We can share documents anywhere, anytime. Meetings, really a nice feature of Ring Central. In fact, now Ring Central is just a complete all-in-one solution. All-inclusive pricing under $25 a month per user. And you can start right now with a 30-day risk-free trial. With a special offer, when you buy one desk phone, you'll get a second phone free up to a total of 20 phones. So if you are setting up a new business or you're tired of dealing with the phone company, call 800-543-9980 or visit ringcentral.com and use the promo code TWIT. 800-543-9980, ringcentral.com. Use the promo code TWIT. Get that free phone deal, too. That's a great deal. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk about computers and the internet, home theater, MP3s, whatever's on your mind. If it has a chip in it, I'll talk about it. 8888, Ask Leo's the number, 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. We get calls from all over the world all the time, though. And generally, those people are using Skype. So it's a free call. Skype is a free call to a toll-free number, 8888. Ask Leo. You think you had a bad day? Emory University this week had a little bit of an accident. I'm reading from the press release. A Windows 7 deployment image was accidentally sent to all Windows machines on the Emory University network, including laptops, desktops, even servers. Now, this, IT departments often have an image file of the standard install. But as often is the case, when the image is sent out, the first thing that happens is the drives that they're sending them to, because these are usually new computers, are repartitioned and reformatted. As soon as the accident was discovered, the server was turned off, but by that time, the server itself had been repartitioned and reformatted. Oh. Just a little piece of advice. Back up. I don't know if the entire Emory University network was brought to its knees, or it's this comes from the press release. They call it Windows 7 incident. 6:45 p.m. Friday, May 16th. As we wrap up this week, we ask that every person who has a computer that has been re-imaged to please reboot their machine one more time. At this time, all mission-critical issues have been resolved. We are extremely indebted to the Emory community for your patience and good cheer. They erased all the Windows machines on the Emory campus. all the Windows machines on the Emory campus. It's actually quite a fun press release to read through. You've got to feel for them a little bit. Wow. I hope nobody lost their doctoral thesis. That'd be painful. Painful. 8888. That's just to make you feel better about your small little computer problem. Brian on the line from New York City. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Brian.
Hey, how's it going today, Leo?
It's going well. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I actually have a great experience with my local cable operator here. Which
whoa, wait a minute! Hold the phone! I can't believe it.
You're not going to believe this.
That's a rarely heard statement. A great experience.
And you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you.
Okay, tell me what. So you're in New York. Do you have Cablevision? Is Cablevision here?
No, none of those big guys.
Oh, just some little guy.
A small little cable company.
Oh, well, no wonder.
Pennsylvania.
Oh, that's why.
And what they've done is they've actually put Netflix on the cable service.
Wow.
So you turn to channel 450.
Yeah.
And it boots up a Netflix application.
That's a great idea.
It's unbelievable. So, obviously you can subscribe right there. And luckily I got in right before they raised the price.
Yeah, it went up $1. By the way, that entire $1 is going to Comcast.
Right in.
Yeah.
You're pretty much, about 12 hours later, you're right into all the episodes of House of Cards.
Yeah.
Stayed up the whole night, right?
This is a cable company realizing that really this is all people want. They want channel 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and Netflix.
Exactly. So rather than fight the tide,
right.
These guys have decided to roll with the tide. So anyway, just a
That's
little
neat.
plug.
Nice.
Local cable company called RCN.
Oh, I know RCN, yeah.
RCN. So just in case any folks want to switch from one of their competitors, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, the sad thing is that the state of the country is that all these cable companies are monopolies. So you're lucky you can get RCN.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyway, my question was, I have a high-definition camcorder, Panasonic camcorder, from a couple of years ago, that actually records in native 1080p 60 frames per second.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so like when you're kids' soccer games or things like that.
High frame rate, they call that.
High frame rate video. And, when you hook it directly to the television, I have a couple of, old plasma panels from a few years back that actually support that frame rate. So it's very, very sharp, particularly on the motion.
I know exactly what you mean. I just got a 4K computer monitor, and I was holding off until they could do 60 hertz because most of them just could do 30 hertz. There's so many pixels, and it's 4K at 60 hertz. It's like you're looking out a window.
Yeah, it's very, very, very,
very nice.
Obviously, this is just standard to 1080p, so it's 19.
Yeah, but still very good. But now playing it back might be a challenge. You'll have to have
That's my question. So anyway, so when you want to play back some footage, do you really want to go out there and hook the camera up to the television and try?
Well, and if it's HDMI, it won't be. It'll be 30 frames per second, not 60.
Well, no. I think HDMI actually supports through the HDMI port. It says it supports 60 frames a second, progressive, which I think under the standard is something called AVC HD Progressive, and was later called AVC HD 2.0. And so my question for you, and maybe it's a better question for Scott, or maybe just put it out to the chat room, is if I don't want to go through the trouble of hooking this thing up to the television, which is there's not really a practical solution. Is there any kind of standalone media player that would be able to, play back these native 1080p 60 frames per second files, off of a hard drive or hooked up to the network, some sort of media device that could actually support, the files? And actually, this camera is not the only one. There's Panasonic. I think Sony has them. A number of manufacturers support this specification, but actually getting some sort of playback that doesn't involve like cracking open your laptop or your desktop computer. I've kind of done a few internet searches and things like that, and I haven't really come across any of the media players like any of these Western Digital Live or any kind of standalone box that would actually be able to support the file format and the high frame rate that these cameras record in. So if you want to do it by yourself, you have to basically downgrade to like a 60 frames anyways, and you lose content. So then the question is, why record in high frame rate if you're just going to then basically lose it before you can even watch it? So it's just sort of one of those things out there you want to try and take full advantage of. And I just wanted to know if you, and if not anyone else in the chat room, might have any thoughts about that.
Yeah, I'm looking for on AVS forums and others media players. It's only it's 1080p 60 frames or 1080 60p, and I would think that that's something that you could get. But I'm looking and I don't see a lot of choices for playback. So that's
exactly. I looked at it, but that's exactly right. That's another way it's described. 1080 60p.
60p.
60p basically. So it's sort of, instead of getting 30p, you're basically getting every second another 30 frames displayed natively.
One oddball solution I hadn't really thought of. Your Blu-ray player can do that.
Well, the Blu-ray specification again.
Well, you don't have to make a Blu-ray disc out of it. Your Blu-ray player can do it. If you put an SD card in if your Blu-ray player has a memory card slot.
Yeah, see, I have like one of those. I had like the first generation of one of those Oppo Blu-ray players, and unfortunately, it only supports files in the native file Blu-ray.
Right,
so it's sort of like not really that workable.
Yeah, because you have to get it in this progressive AVC HD. Let me. You know what? We're running to a break. Let me look and see, and maybe the chat room can help you. How do we play back these AVC HD progressive videos? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I was thinking 60 hertz 4K. Of course, 1080p 60 HDMI can do. It just can't do 4K at 60. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We've been looking for devices that will play back this new AVC2 or AVC2 HD 60p progressive video, which is, actually, I think it's not uncommon to see camcorders record this kind of video. They probably, in most cases, they could just play it back through the camcorder and an HDMI cable. It looks like most modern Sony Blu-ray players will do it. But I'll tell you what, if you have an idea, if you play back this high-quality video yourself on your TV using a set-top box, let us know. TechGuyLabs.com is the place. Every question and my answers are on there. And you can just go to this episode. This is episode 1083 in the I think it was the first or second question from the third hour, and add that information. It's interesting. It's actually an interesting question. Why would the camera record it if you can't play it back? You can play it back on a computer, I'm sure, using VLC. It's the question is, how do you get it back on your big screen TV? And will even your big screen TV support it? That's another question. We live in an interesting world, and I'll ask Scott next time I see him as well. Michelle in Rapid City, South Dakota. Hi, Michelle. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Michelle.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to talk to you. Thanks for hanging on.
I accidentally, on my laptop, I think it was like the heel of my hand touched the touchpad on the laptop, and the next thing you know, it apparently clicked on an ad. And I know enough not to do that, but now I keep getting this thing telling me to download, install, they're calling it Windows Updater.
Yeah, don't do it.
I know.
That sounds suspicious, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. And you've rebooted your machine and you still get this warning, huh?
Yeah, and I put the desktop icon through the shredder of my internet security, and I called them too because I have a subscription, so I have this 1-year support. They said, well, because I couldn't figure why would the adware get past them. And they said, well, you clicked on it, so we don't...
Yeah, antiviruses... I mean, I understand why. They want to let you do what you really want to do. People get annoyed if all of a sudden an antivirus says, no, you can't have that. They say, well, I don't want you to get in my way. I said I wanted this. So most antiviruses won't prevent you from actively installing a virus. They just prevent them from getting there in the first, by accident, and they'll warn you that you've got it. I don't think you have a virus.
It's not warning me.
I don't think you actually have a virus yet.
Right.
But I'm curious how clicking on an ad would have done this. I don't know if that was the way that you got this thing. Probably, it's more likely. Well, first of all, it could be legitimate. It could be coming from, not from Microsoft, but they call theirs Windows Update, not Windows Updater. But it might be a printer or software that says, I want to be updated.
Well, when I click on the window comes up, tries to tell me to download or install, and when I say quit, I'm using Firefox. When I say quit, all of a sudden an IE window comes up with installpath.com.
There you go.
And I guess it's something in Israel or something, whatever.
There you go.
To sort of figure out.
Yeah, sounds like you still got something on there, doesn't it?
And what the antivirus people told me, they tried to work, remotely to get rid of it, and the guy said it was in the registry, and my subscription doesn't cover that. So
they don't want to go in there, do they? Yeah.
$180.
Yeah. Well, I don't blame them for not wanting to go in there. Yeah. So that would make sense. If something is in the registry, you can create an entry in the registry that loads every time you start up the machine. So it could be that there is... let me ask you a couple of critical questions. You do run Windows Updater, and it's automatically updating every time your Windows updates are successfully completing?
Yeah, it's set to do it automatically, and the same thing with my antivirus software. It's set to automatically.
And which version of Windows are you running?
7.
And I like it that you're using Firefox. You don't use Internet Explorer.
Well, I used to, until that recent thing happened.
You used it until then?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. So, and what version of Internet Explorer do you know?
11.
11. All right. If you go to, there's a program that might help you with this called Malware Bytes. The reason, normally when people tell me I have a virus, I say, well, you're just going to have to start over. I don't think you have a virus. You have a program that is annoying you until you install the virus, right? So, and I think that's a little less worrisome. So my suggestion is you figure out where it's coming from. And there are a couple of things you could do. Malware Bytes will scan it and remove it if it can see it. Now, make sure you get the right Malware Bytes, because, of course, bad guys have figured out that people are downloading this and will put, and there's bad versions out there. You have to get it from malwarebytes.org. Yeah, you'll reboot into safe mode. And then run Malware Bytes, and that should be able to find it and remove it. It sounds like it's maybe not in your registry, but it might be a browser hijacker or something like that.
Yeah, what I read online, kind of researching, someone had got the same thing, and they did click on install, and then they kept on getting pop-ups and all kinds of things. And so I knew that it was only a partial whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't use my laptop without the mouse anymore. I'm too scared to accidentally touch something.
Oh golly, this shouldn't happen. I mean, I'm a little disappointed that this happened. The other thing you can do is Microsoft has a program that's really great called Auto Runs, RUNS. And this is by our good friend Mark Rasinovich, who is a genius programmer, and Microsoft bought this company for programs like this. Make sure you're getting it from Microsoft.com. It's called Auto Runs, and that'll tell you. It looks in the registry and everywhere else for things that start up when you turn on the machine, and you'll probably be able to find this thing and disable it.
Okay.
It's either a BHO, a browser hijacker, or it may be, as the folks told you, in the registry. But Auto Runs will find this, and you can disable it.
Do you suggest doing one or the other first?
Auto Runs is easier, so try that. And that's from Microsoft, so it's a very safe program as long as you're getting it from Microsoft.com. And it'll give you an idea of what it might be. A Firefox plugin. It sounds like though you did it in Internet Explorer, so that's the place I'd check. You should be able to see it.
Okay.
And remove it. And that's too bad. I'm sorry that happened to you. It is why I have a really hard time telling people to use Windows. Not because Microsoft did anything wrong. They didn't. It's just a very, it's a highly targeted environment. You're sitting there with a big bullseye on the back of your computer. And unfortunately, this seems to happen a lot. And it's terrible. You shouldn't have to worry about this. Auto runs is a good start. Then think of malwarebytes.org if that doesn't work. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You don't get it from File Hippo. Get it from Microsoft. And this is ironic. You really don't want to get it from cnetsdownload.com. That would be ironic, because then you would download auto runs and then all this other stuff would be installed on your system. Do not get it here. Do not get it here. Go to Microsoft and get it. It's frustrating that they put stuff like this on download.com, but of course they do, because they're going to bite you. You can get it for free without any special download or wrapped around it. Yeah, I don't blame Microsoft for this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Paul in Orange, California. You're next. Leo Laporte here. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
Listen, I am legally blind. I do have some usable vision, but it's limited. And I have an old, small television, and I'm looking to upgrade to a nice big screen, but I can stand inside the store and stare at all these televisions, and I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm trying to find something that is going to have far better quality than I have now, but that's going to be something that's going to work for somebody that's in my situation.
What is it that you need to have different from a standard television?
Well, I'm super hyper light sensitive, so I need something that I can dim down the actual lighting on the screen. For example, the TV I have now, there's a little picture mode button I can hit that will take it from standard to vivid to cinema, and depending on the show I'm watching, I can change that to kill the brightness, because sometimes these are just so bright it washes out the entire screen.
In fact, in the store, they're very bright. They usually have a showroom mode or the dynamic mode, which is one way they call it, and that's in the store because they want it to be bright in all those fluorescent lights. But that is our advice right away when you get home with your new TVs. Immediately turn it to movie mode, which is usually the dimmest mode. And there may be some TVs have ways to get it even dimmer. I'm not sure what brands specifically, however. That'd be something.
I stand in the store and they don't even have the remote controls available, so I can't control the remote controls.
And of course,
they can't even do anything with the television. They sit there and they have the running screen.
And of course, you can't ask for help because they don't know anything.
They don't know anything.
That's a great question. So that's one thing you're looking for, is the ability to dim the screen. What else do you need?
Something that's bigger. I sit about 10 feet away from the television. I have a 42-inch now. And about 10 to 11 feet away from the television.
Yeah, 42 inches is too small, really, for 10 feet away.
Yeah.
I would say 55 or better.
Okay.
Now, you can see it well enough that you're not worried about making the screen bigger, or are you?
Well, no matter what I do, there's no way I'll ever be able to read the menu if I go to, the menu for channel. I'll never be able to read those regardless of the size of the television, but, just more sharpness. So what I do see is a little bit better. And I think because
a bigger screen will really help, I think.
Okay.
Because they're all showing the same resolution, but bigger screen just makes everything bigger. That should be easier to see. And as far as I know, almost every TV currently on the market, you can dim it. You're going to look for, and I don't know how you find this out if they don't have a remote control. Somebody in the chat room said bring a universal remote with you. I don't know what the.
Oh, that'd be great.
But most TVs now you can turn down the backlight a little bit, and that should dim it sufficiently. All TVs have brightness settings as well.
Okay, that was my concern, because, again, nobody knows anything that I talk to.
Yeah, boy, that's a shame.
And those controllers, because usually remote control will tell you, some kind of picture mode or dim mode. And
everything's going to have a movie mode, picture mode, so that you're guaranteed of that. And you're guaranteed that in the store it's set at the brightest it can be.
Right.
Because there are fluorescent lights, and people like bright TVs. They buy more of them. That's why LCDs have completely killed plasma TVs. And they're about, it sounds like, to kill OLED TVs because they're so bright. People like them.
So what's the difference between LCD and LED then?
LED is a kind of LCD. In fact, you might prefer an LED because the LEDs is the kind of backlight. So the older LCDs had a fluorescent backlight, like your computer. Modern computer monitors and modern TVs use LEDs. They last longer. And good ones, you can use local dimming to give you darker pictures where it's black. And I think all of that's good. All of that means you should have better control over how bright that screen is. So, but you're almost certainly going to get an LED.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody, Toilet Bug in our chat room says that Fry's in Anaheim will help you with the remotes.
Okay.
He also says if you can go to Whittier, Paul's TV is a good place. I think you're better off when you go somewhere where you get the higher end, like the Magnolia stores and things like that, where you're going to get higher end people who are going to help you than if you go to a Target where you're right, everything's locked down, the big box stores.
Right, and nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah. I would suspect that any modern TV you buy has the dimming capability you want. They will all have movie mode, which is absolutely the mode you should choose. And yeah, if you're sitting 10 feet away, I would say 55 inches is the minimum. And given your limited vision, bigger's better. So get as big as you can afford.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Paul. I appreciate it. Sam, you're next. Valencia, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm good. Somebody in the chat room said the brightness of the television is inverse ratio to the IQ of the customer. I think that might be true. I'm great, Sam. What can I do for you?
Well, I need your advice. I'm trying to find out what would be the best software that I can get for my computer for antivirus and also for my phone to be protected. So I don't know what your suggestions is for both of them.
Yeah, I mean, our longtime advertiser, ESET, makes an excellent Windows antivirus. If you're buying, what version of Windows are you using?
Windows 7.
I think it's sufficient to use Microsoft Security Essentials, which is free. It's at Microsoft.com/Security Essentials. You don't need to buy an antivirus because, as one of our callers was pointing out, an antivirus won't protect you against yourself. The most important thing in safe computing is to, know what not to do. You keep Windows up to date. Make sure all of those critical updates are always installed immediately. Use Chrome instead of Internet Explorer. You'll be much better off, or Firefox if you like it. Don't use Internet Explorer as your browser. This works better than any antivirus. The best thing you can do, it's a little inconvenient, is not running as an administrator. If you use Windows in limited user mode or standard user mode, depending on the version of Windows, you'll be much safer because the bad guys inherit your permissions. If you're an administrator, a virus can do anything it wants. If you're a limited user, it can't even install. Right. So it's really sufficient, I think, to do that. Now, what's interesting is every smartphone out there, you're running as a limited user. Unless you explicitly know how to make yourself an administrator, you're not. And it's why I don't recommend, in general, antiviruses on smartphones. They're not needed.
Got it.
Because smartphones were designed more recently, both iOS and Android and Windows Phone 8, all designed in a world where bad guys were rampant. So they did this. They did it right. Applications are sandboxed. You can't write to files, directories you can't write to unless you're an administrator, and that's good. So I think you're fine. I think you're fine on your smartphone. Don't worry about it. And on Windows, if you run as a standard user and you don't use Internet Explorer, which is a problem, and you keep Windows up to date, don't click on links in emails. Be very careful about what you download. Don't just willy-nilly download programs from anywhere. See, that's the problem. An antivirus, for instance, let's say you go to downloads.com. Download.com is CNET's download site. And you say, I want to download this file. An antivirus is not going to stop you. But that file, in many cases, it contains all sorts of adware that CNET installs on your computer. And it's extremely annoying, borders right on malware. And the antivirus won't stop you because you said you wanted it. So the antivirus is not going to protect you against yourself, unfortunately. So I would say use Security Essentials. That's good enough. And just act, safe computing.
Okay. And that's from Microsoft, you said?
Yeah, Microsoft.com. It's free. Microsoft.com/Security Essentials.
That's awesome. I have another question real quick.
Sure.
I also work in sales, and I'm looking for a reliable database that I can utilize to keep track of my contacts, clients, and everything else. And I don't know if you have any suggestions.
Yeah, almost everybody I know in sales uses ACT. A-C-T. It is a real power tool for managing contacts and customer relationships. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Oh, the GizWiz coming up in a second. Before we go to the GizWiz show, I want to tell you about PersonalCapital.com. The good folks from Personal Capital were in the studio last week, and it was so fun to talk to them, and they're doing really well. I've been using them since I found out about them 2 years ago. I interviewed the founder, Bill Harris. I said, one of the things I said is, hey, can you give me an account with dummy information? Because I don't want to actually put my financial information on the show. And they said they were going to do that. Personal Capital is truly awesome. It's wealth management for the digital age. We all are in the same boat, where we have many accounts online, our checking, savings, mortgages, investments, credit cards, all on different websites, all with different logins. So the first thing Personal Capital does is it gets your stuff in order. It gets your stuff so you can look at it on one page with real-time graphs. Desktop, iOS, Android, tablet, they have apps for everybody. You can see how your investments are doing, see if you're paying too much in fees, or, you're paying, a salesman to sell you stocks you don't need. They'll help you with all of that stuff. They'll give you research and insights so you can invest better, and all of this is free. All of this is free. PersonalCapital.com/tech guy. You can set it up right now and start preparing for your future. People, we have busy lives these days. Who has time to keep track of your investments? But I can guarantee you, if you're not, you're going to lose track of them, and you're not going to make what you should be making on them. This software will help you. PersonalCapital.com. And if you want personal attention, they've got that too. You can talk with an advisor who will help you make sure you're making the right investments, a certified financial planner, not a salesperson, not somebody working on commission. PersonalCapital.com/tech guy. Make better investment decisions today. Really a great company. And stuff we all need, frankly. I asked them, I said, where do your customers come from? They said about 75% of our customers are already using online brokers, but they either feel like they're ignored or that the guys are kind of using them. They're making money, commissions. And then about a quarter of them come from people who are going to the bank for investment advice, and they're just not big enough to get these guys' attention. So this is really a good solution for a lot of people. PersonalCapital.com/tech guy. Ladies and gentlemen, the belcher you just heard is Mad Magazine's longest-standing writer, Dickie DeBartolo, the GizWiz.
Yes, exactly.
When did you record that? It was an insert in a Mad Magazine.
It was well, actually, the one part, I think the one you're hearing is Disco, It's a Gas. Which we
oh, you went back and did more.
Yeah, like in the late 80s. We went back and...
But the one I remember was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So that would have been the 60s?
Yes.
Wow.
And that's been reproduced a lot. Even a company called Rhino Records at one time.
They released it.
They put out a CD of all the floppies that people remember.
I would get that because I grew up with those. You'd buy Mad Magazine. What was it, 30 cents cheap?
And started out as a quarter, then 50 cents, and now the specials are $800. So it's just
inflation. It's not Mad's fault. It's inflation.
Exactly. But it comes with a laser disc instead of those little floppy things.
But yeah, they were so fun. They were just like they were like pages in the magazine, little vinyl pages, and you'd punch them out. Of course, you had to have a record player, which nobody had.
Yes, and we advised people sometimes you had to put a quarter on it to keep it from
that won't hurt the needle.
The old tone-ons weighed a ton. If you had a heavy tone-on, the record wouldn't spin.
It would just drag around.
Look at how far we've come now. And now we have vinyl. I can't believe it.
It's an 8-tracks.
An 8-track.
So besides traveling down memory lane. Dick DeBartolo joins us each week to share a gadget or two with us. I know you were at the home show a couple of weeks ago.
The hardware show.
Hardware show, right.
Yeah, and there was a gadget. You were still doing the GizWiz last year after the hardware show, and we talked about Invisiplug.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a 6-outlet power strip, grounded, and it comes in 3 wood grain colors, so it matches your hardwood floor. Well, at the show, 2 things happened. They introduced Deluxe Invisiplug, which now has 2 2.1 charging USB ports.
Comes in oak, cherry, or natural stains.
Exactly.
That's so
exactly.
funny.
And now it has a light to show you that your power strip is grounded, that the surge protector is in use or in operation. But the guys told me, one of them anyway, Brian, they were on Shark Tank in January.
Oh, neat.
And Lori from QVC was very interested in it. She invested, I think, $125,000 in the company.
Cool.
And he said they are now in Bed Bath & Beyond. And next week, I think he said they're flying down to meet with Walmart. So things are happening for them. Invisiplug Deluxe is under $25 on Amazon. And I was doing a little web search.
Are they actually made from wood?
No.
Oh.
They're just wood grain. They're either PVC or some sort of plastic.
It'd be fun if they had other camouflage colors.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just a photographed process where it looks pretty good.
Yeah, because it could, it could hide a stain on my carpet. If it could match the stain, it'd be great. Or
Exactly.
it just feels like there's an opportunity here beyond just the 3 different kinds of wood.
Oh, I see what you said. Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
Do they have a paisley carpet print? That kind of thing.
Yeah, no. They should have a thing where you send in a digital
sample
file.
Yes.
All right, and they make you a Invisiplug to match whatever you're trying to cover up. Blood on the carpet.
Exactly.
Body parts.
Right. Here's where the police drew the outline of the body. Can you just?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that'd be really handy.
That would be clever. I like it. I like it.
Invisiplug.com. They're still around, and they were on Shark Tank.
On Shark Tank.
They'll do anything on Shark Tank, I swear. So
they have some weird stuff on that show.
Speaking of doing anything, Dick will do anything to get you to visit his website, gizwiz.biz, even give away free copies of Mad Magazine. Wow. Now, here's the deal. If you go to gizwiz.biz, and by the way, he has information about all the gadgets he mentions on this show, on his visits to World News Now on ABC, on the GizWiz podcast, and on and on and on. But you can also play the What the Heck Is It contest. Identify a close-up picture of an unnamed gadget, and you could win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Better yet, make up a cute or silly answer, and you could win too. GizWiz.biz, and we're playing for the August issue of Mad Magazine.
Correct.
All right.
And the August issue will have the takeoff on Shark Tank in it.
Oh, you're writing that, aren't you?
Yeah.
What are you calling that?
You guessed it. Snark Tank.
Snark Tank.
Originally, I had called it Schlock Tank. And then because, with all the crap they show. And then later on, we were talking about how nasty they're getting with each other. And then John Ficari said, well, why don't we go with Snark instead?
Yeah. It's a Snark Tank. All right, Dickie D, hang around. We're going to do the Giz Fizz, your show, right after the radio show on Twit, the podcast network, twit.tv.
I'll be here.
I think we have time for one more. Let's say hi to Danny in Pasadena. Hi, Danny.
Hey, Leo. It's a pleasure to talk to you once again.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
Hey, so I have an unlocked BlackBerry phone with a SIM card.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from a phone where I had no SIM card and I was using Page Plus, and so the card and the unlock thing is new to me, and I'm looking at Simple Mobile.
So you need a GSM carrier. The big companies, that's T-Mobile or AT&T, but there may be smaller companies that are what we call MVNOs. They resell service, but it has to be resold from AT&T or T-Mobile. I don't know what Simple is. A lot of these guys resell Sprint service, which would probably not work.
Yeah, it is T-Mobile.
Then you're golden.
Okay, okay, I'm good.
So now the only trick is you got to get the right size SIM card. So bring it into the Simple. Is there a store for Simple?
Yes.
Yeah, bring it into the store and they'll look at it and they'll go, oh yeah, we got, because there's standard SIMs, there's micro SIMs, and now there's nano SIMs, and they're all different sizes. And so whatever that phone requires, probably a micro SIM, but I'm not sure. You'll want to make sure you get the right size card. You'll put the card in there, and it'll have the phone number and everything. It's kind of like the personality, almost like the brain of the phone, in that little SIM card.
And I can port my current phone number from.
You can. Yeah, that's a requirement of the FCC. You have to be able to take your phone number from an existing carrier to another carrier painlessly, quickly, and easily.
Now, if I travel abroad, Leo, I've heard you speak on where I can get a SIM card from that country in order to save.
If the phone's truly unlocked. Now, the thing about unlocking is most phones nowadays, you get it from a cell phone carrier, and they lock it. They say, you bought it from us, you can only use it with us. But if the phone is truly unlocked, and the carrier can do that for you. AT&T, for instance, will do that if you're in good standing and you've had the phone for 6 months and so forth. If the phone's truly unlocked, then you can buy a SIM wherever you go. Again, get the right size, pop it in there. You'll have a local number. If you buy it in Spain, you'll have a Spanish number. And then you'll also get, sometimes you can get data. There's a really great, and I'll put this in the show notes because it's a long URL. It's called Prepay with Data. It's a wiki, and it tells you what the best, which SIMs to get in which country, and how much data you get and all that. Pay-as-you-go SIM with data. It's a wiki. That means the users have set it up. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Have a great geek week. I like the laugh. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.